Thanks for tuning into it. I'm Jeff. That's Matthew filling in first hour for Tom. Tom will be along shortly. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com, where you can listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. If you do miss something, remember this. We'll always have you covered. We'll post all 3 hours to iTunes and our own audio vault. I know we've had some problems lately with downloads and Hipcasts and that stuff. We're working on it. It's not our fault. We're hardcore on them, trying to get that worked out, and we'll continue to do so. Sorry if some of you are having problems with that. I know it's annoying. I'm like you. I like to listen to podcasts and other shows online or via app. When I can't, it pisses me off, and so I understand your frustration. It's especially flattering and humbling that you even want to listen to the show, so we want to be able to give it to you. We're working on it. But if you miss it again, it'll be on iTunes. It'll be in the audio vault. You can email the show if you like. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. On Twitter, it's at @JCameronShow. WTSM app works. And hello, YouTubers and Periscopers. Hope you're well. So it is tomorrow, the draft. We're going to be at Bumpa's Local 349. Hopefully you'll come out and say, hey, I really look forward to it. Could use a night of escape, frankly, and am going to enjoy the draft. Always do. And Bumpus is a great place for it. We were there last year, and that's the scene of the crime where Quentin Nelson was one pick away from being immortalized as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, where he would have gone down as the greatest offensive lineman the franchise has ever seen. Would have surpassed the great Paul Gruber, I'm telling you. But, hey, what can you do? That's the way it works, and you never know you're going to get your guy or not, especially the further down you go. And hopefully you'll be screaming at the TV with me while eating good food, drinking cold beer, and enjoying the weather as your fellow football fans say, we got the best of this draft. No, you didn't, we did. Or, no, your team sucks. Or, yep, mine does. Whatever that might be. Those talking points take place rather boisterously every year during the NFL draft. And there's not that much intrigue, though, I would say this, as far as perhaps teams moving up. Doesn't appear like there's a lot of movement here just yet, but you never know. We've got time, plenty of time for that. Florida State baseball wins last night. It's not pretty. Too many errors, too many runs, but you overcome it, hit a bunch of home runs, and you win. And they get started in about an hour for the next game in that set. So right now it's about amassing wins, and you don't have to look good. I will say this, man. I want to talk about this more later. But I really am impressed with the fact that every day that I get up, I'm finding another commitment to Florida State. And, yeah, it's true. I don't fancy myself a recruit, Nick, but I do know the importance of it, and I'm often want to mention that it's the lifeblood of any great program. I know that. I just don't have to follow the kids in high school. There are people who do that, and thankfully I go check those sites, and I make sure I know that I'm on top of who's doing what. And you know, folks, if you checked out on FSU football because of the 5-7 season, understandable, and the ugly one the year before, again, I understand, you might not have realized that the 2020 class is shaping up to be freaking good, like surprisingly really good. And I'm not just talking about like, okay, you'll look at a kid and you'll say, oh, I see they got the Jalen Harrell kid. He's a 4-star. I don't know anything about him, but he's a defensive back. All right. And you might notice the other 4-stars that are up there, and there's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 of those. And you'd say, well, that's an awful lot of 4-stars coming into shape for a team that lost so many games. But then after that, you've got a Jeffrey Sims, and you've got a Steven Dix, and now you got a Derek Bermudez, who's a 6'2" defensive back out of Jacksonville, who was being looked at and offered by over 20 different schools, including the likes of Oklahoma and Florida and Auburn and us and other big-time programs. And he says, nope, loving Florida State. And the thing that's happening with these commits is that they're getting here and they're verbally committing, and then they're becoming ringleaders. They are reaching out to all the other targets and saying, hey, why don't you come to Florida State with me? And you know what that does? That brings about some form of momentum. And you don't anticipate having any kind of momentum after you've had the season that we had. But that said, the lone strength, and certainly that we thought we were hanging our hat on, the thing we believed would be our saving grace, if it wasn't shot to hell after such a terrible season, would be that Willie's a good recruiter. He's a young guy. It's a different message. He's from the state. He's not that far removed from playing the game. And we thought that, his reputation as a recruiter would be one of the big-time gains in that hire. And then you hoped everything else would fall into place. Certainly that the coaching hires around him would help even out and level out the staff, and you'd be all right X's and O's wise. But, it's the Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's after all. When you have the best players, you can play simply. And this is no doubt going to be, even under Kendall Briles, a very simple offense. It's not like anybody's going to sit there and watch this and wonder what we're doing. It's just the speed. And with the speed, yes, brings simplicity, but if you have better athletes, then you can win that way and you can overwhelm. Well, you better get the better athletes, right? And right now, they're doing a really good job of recruiting. And I didn't think we'd see that. I also didn't think I'd see a time here in any of the next couple of weeks that I would open this show with some talk of the NBA. But, yeah, listen, I still love badasses, and Damian Lillard's a badass, and that was cool. Because I like guys that are loyal. I like guys that get drafted by a team in a market that's not well thought of or even talked about in any way, and then they want to stay there and build it up, and they don't just jump ship the second they get an opportunity to join a super team, which has become the way of the modern player. I like guys that'll stay in one place. Not that you have to. I'm not for eliminating free agency, obviously. I just like guys that feel appreciative. A guy that, and I don't mean kowtow. I don't mean you have to get down on one knee and kiss the ring. I'm saying if a team scouts you, drafts you, pays you, invests in you, is doing all they can to make their organization better and is trusting you to be the leader, be the guy, that I need you to be that guy, and I want you to embrace that role. And if you lose sometimes, it's okay. It happens. But keep on keeping on, soldier on until you reach your goals, right? He's that guy, right? He's a son of a bitch. He's tough. And he was cold-blooded with 50 last night. You look at that. Not just the game-winning shot from the parking lot, but I went back through and I looked, and, that series was all about he versus Westbrook. And if you go game one, Edge, Lillard, 30 points, outplayed Westbrook marginally. Game two, certainly outplayed Westbrook. He had 29 points in 37 minutes with 10 of 21, 50% from three, whereas Westbrook had 14 points, 5 of 20 shooting, 1 of 6 from beyond the arc, 6 turnovers, 4 personal fouls. Westbrook got schooled that night. Game 3, call it a draw. Game 4, Lillard once again, 24 points, 41 minutes, 4 of 8 from three, to Westbrook's 14 points. And then finally last night, it's a no contest. Lillard had 50 points in 45 minutes, 17 of 33, 10 of 18 from beyond the arc, 50 points. Compare and contrast to a decent night for Westbrook, who likes to talk with 29 points, but that's getting outshone. Matthew, since you're hosting and I should say producing here in hour number 1, I'm glad I didn't take the Phillies as I suggested I might yesterday. You didn't give me a thou protest too much yesterday when I said, why are they plus 130 against this Mets team? But then the Mets pounded your Phillies last night. So, you just need to steer me right. That's your squad.
Yeah, Tom was right on yesterday about Segura being out. The air bug bit the Phillies again. A couple of earned runs, but,
the last time, you and you get beat 9-0.
Yeah.
The last time you and I talked on air, you were touting a potential undefeated season. I just couldn't help but notice there's been some bumps along the way.
No comment.
Oh, man. No, it's a very long season. I think I don't know what to trust more about right now with baseball is that, A, our bullpen's going to continue to suck? Are the Red Sox going to be average or back to being elite? Are we going to, as baseball fans, continue to see a barrage of home runs and continue a trend? Are strikeouts going to go way up as they have each of the last number of years? You say yes, right? That will continue? They've broken the record from the previous year, each year for how long now? I think it's 12 years?
Yeah.
A 12-year run.
For people, double digits.
Yeah, for people who don't know, they've been on over a decade of breaking the previous year's record in strikeouts as a league, which isn't good. But what is good is action, and there's plenty of action in baseball right now, partly because those bullpens are so bad and partly because people are hitting the ball out of the ballpark, but there's been a lot of action this year. You flip around baseball right now, and it's a good product. I don't know how many people are. I do know this. I sell it all the time. There's nothing like it. Every year, when you get to this time of year. It's hard when your team gets bounced in the first round to get reinvested. But I did last night, and if you're not watching the NHL playoffs, you are missing out. I mean, you think about this, the NBA playoffs, and again, I'm starting to tune in a little bit. There is some intrigue, but it's going to be chalk early on. All 7 higher seeds, they've already advanced so far. You know that they're on pace to do so. You already know that, right? Whereas in the NHL, of course, you have 3 series going 7 games. You have already you have 4 division winners booted, and then you have this is the kind of intrigue that happens all the time, the intensity. But last night, if you stayed up late for San Jose and Vegas, you saw an oddity that is, woo! I hate it for you if you're a sporting guy or gal and you had Vegas. That's a toughie. Ain't nothing being up 3 goals midway through the third and losing. On power play after power play after power play after power play. Historic. Get locked in. It will save you the doldrums for a little bit longer. We all are kind of bracing for the summer months, which I actually think, and I'm surprised in bringing it back to the draft, usually the draft kind of puts that off, staves that off, gives you a chance. But in truth, I do think, and I guess I'm going to dole a little hope here, that with the momentum being picked up currently by this group in recruiting and the coaching staff doing a much better job and also messaging the way that they are and kids are buying in, that we're going to have things to talk about this summer with the football team. We're going to have maybe a glimmer of hope that I didn't give us at all as the season ended last year. That in talking points and perhaps adjustments in what we think is possible. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I watch myself fall apart. I watch rabbits in my yard. There goes another round the bend. I gotta sweep this floor again.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Let me tell you, Nissan has hit it out of the park this month with huge rebates and special interest rates. You get both, and it's on all 2019 Altimas, Maximas, and Muranos. So listen to this. 2019 Altimas, $5,000 off and 2.9% interest for 60 months. 2019 Maximas, $5,000 off and 1.9% interest for 60 months. And 2019 Muranos, $5,000 off and 0.9% interest for 60 months. Seriously, over 100 2019 Altimas, Maximas, and Muranos in stock are $5,000 off, and they all have 0% interest. You get both. Plus, all trades are $1,000 over Kelley Blue Book, and Kraft Nissan will include 2 years or 20,000 miles free maintenance when you mention this ad. Kraft Nissan, where you can stack huge discounts, huge rebates, special interest rates, and $1,000 extra for your trade. It all equals the best price and the lowest monthly payments in town. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
After 40 years as Florida State Baseball's head coach, Mike Martin Sr. is making this his final season. Join all of us here at Garnet and Gold as we celebrate the farewell tour for the winningest coach in college baseball history with limited edition commemorative baseballs, t-shirts, and caps in stock right now. And while you're here, check out Nike's hot new line of FSU baseball jerseys, tees, and ball caps. Garnet and Gold with 3 locations, West Pensacola Street, Collard, and Governor Square Boulevard. If you're a Seminole, we're your store. Shop local and go Noles.
Spilled your red wine? Quick, the Quicker Picker-Upper. Bounty picks up spills and messes quicker and is 2 times more absorbent than the leading Ordinary brand, so you can get back on track quicker. Bounty, the Quicker Picker-Upper.
Thursdays are Friday Eve, and that's a reason to celebrate. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered every Thursday down in College Town. Centrale offers 50% off select pizzas all day, every Thursday. Or you can stop by Township for Taco Thursday. $2 house tacos, $2. Madison Social offers the Social Agreement. You and a buddy can split 1 Aurora wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Socials, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday Collegetown deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com.
Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop is proud to support those who serve us daily. As a way of saying thank you, Jerry's is launching a new discount program for active and retired law enforcement, first responders, and military. Stop by and pick up your free discount card today at either of Jerry's 2 locations, one on Scherer Road or their new location on Cary Forest Parkway. Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop, online at jerrycigarshop.com.
Cigars of Tally is your one-stop shop for everything cigars. With 2 convenient locations, Cigars of Tally is here to serve you. The 1401 Market Street location is right off I-10 and great for travelers and after-work stops. The Midtown location, Cigars of Tally Lounge and Bar at 926 North Monroe Street, is great for those winding down from a long day. With the largest humidor in town, affordable cigar lockers, a large covered patio, and private conference rooms, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Cigars of Tally, open 7 days a week. Need cigars? Get your ash in here.
Hendrick.
It's the one race that everyone wins. The first annual Dale Earnhardt Jr. Race to 500. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC has to sell 500 cars now through April 30th. So start your engines, hit the gas, and save big. Shop our huge selection of Buick and GMC cars, trucks, and SUVs, and get the biggest savings of the year. Hurry in for the final days to save. Visit either of our 2 Tallahassee locations or Dale Earnhardt Jr. BuickGMC.com. We are professional grade.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Feels like years and years ago that we were trumpeting Florida State's defense on the diamond, but we can't now. It's a nightly occurrence that you get multiple errors. Today's game, if you're in the car headed over to tailgate, good on you. It's a good day for it. That game starts at 4 o'clock against the Hatters. Florida State winning last night in spite of the fact that they just can't get out of their own way at times defensively. What was it, 4 errors last night, which accounted for 2 of the runs for Stetson. You got Reese Albert, making a mistake out in right field, Baldor and Nander De Sadas. And I mean, there's just been, you get these moments where you wonder if they're going to put it together at this point of the season. You'd probably yell back at the radio, no, man. They're not going to put it together this late in the year. And we really thought, a lot of things. We thought, first of all, I thought Drew Mendoza was going to have a breakout. I thought he'd have a colossal year. But he has had his stretches where he just really struggles. He's in one right now, 2 of 17. He's striking out an awful lot. He hasn't been great in the field, and then you have moments where he kind of can carry the team, but he's not having the year I thought he'd have. You expect the younger guys to be as inconsistent as they've been, right? In essence, you expect those guys to make the kinds of mistakes we see on a regular basis. But some of the veterans have done that too, and that's been frustrating. One thing I do like is you're starting to see certain elements of this team now that you can absolutely count on. And they're winning games in the process, which is ultimately what you have to do. And when you've dug a hole as deep as this one was for Florida State to where your RPI was outside the top 100, you better find a way to win a lot of games. And they are doing that now. That's back-to-back ACC series wins. They have now won, 6 of their last 7, and beginning to gain momentum in that way. Certainly the offense has come around in a way that it wasn't during the long losing streak and during the stretch where we were playing absolutely abysmally. But they're also finding guys like Antonio Velez and others that they're beginning to trust. And obviously the year that J.C. Flowers is having is the storyline. He's a guy that he has a lot of pop. And he has been better, I think, as a pitcher than any of us would have given him an opportunity to be. He got the save again. And he's a guy that has a lot of toughness, and I think you can play off of that. Salvatore has been great all year long. It was good to see Matthew Nelson have a good game yesterday. Florida State's now 25-14. Not good in the field. Found a way to overcome it. Got to win. Do it again in about a half an hour. Get that win there, and all of a sudden, You could be talking about a team that slowly but surely works its way into, say, the top 30 by season's end of the RPI, and or maybe certainly top 45 or so. And if that happens, hey, maybe, just maybe, like I said before when we were all wringing hands, and rightfully so, you just got to give the committee a reason to help you out. You just got to give them a reason. I mean, it's not lost on everybody. You know, it's happened so fast. I was thinking about this today with Mike Martin, how quickly this season is wrapping up, and it's just not lost on me as somebody who started going over to games 1991-ish, started hanging out, 92, 93, really started going all the time then, and there have been some all-time great teams through that era, but really it was about time spent in Hauser and watching the teams that, that come and go, but the consistency, the consistency of play that you began to take for granted, certainly. Obviously, the talking point always circles back to the lack of a championship. But as we get to where we're winding this year down, I certainly have taken the time to be filled with gratitude for the consistency, for the fact that it's a shock when they're not good. And you look across the board, and I was looking at this last night after the game, and I went through all of the great programs that, the college baseball has about 10 to 15 programs that you kind of associate specifically with college baseball. Florida State's one of those, despite not having a national title. I think you talk to baseball fans, college baseball fans, and it's a select group. It felt fortunate that in this city, this is a community that loves college baseball. Therefore, I have something else to talk about in the slower times. If not, that would be tough. But, this city does embrace it, does love it, is passionate about it. They do have opinions about it. But if you ask any of those people and then take a like-minded fan base or a similar fan base in the other cities that have had success and embrace it, the stadiums show that year in and year out with the consistency in attendance and consistency of program, postseason appearance, etc. Florida State would be on that list, but there's about 10 or 15. You would take Texas, and you would take obviously over the years you'd have had Miami mixed in there, of course, and then it's always fun too because you get other programs that ordinarily you never talk about, but like a Cal State Fullerton and on down the list. But if you go back and look at all those teams, and whether you want to make that 10 or 20, they've all had stretches where it was slim pickings, and we just haven't. And there are no guarantees that after this year ends in Florida State, however it ends, let's hope it's with another trip out to Omaha, give yourself an opportunity. But there are no guarantees then that you're going to be able to show up year in and year out and know that even at their worst, even in a year like this one where they're not a great team, and they do have things that, problems that are going to do them in, I think, in the postseason, issues that leave you pretty frustrated at times. I don't know about you, but two things about the teams that I root for in baseball. If you can't close out a game in which you've had a lead for most of the night, and that consistently becomes a problem, that's tough to watch. You get to where you can't trust anything and you don't want to watch it anymore, and a seventh-inning lead doesn't mean anything to you anymore, and that's tough because you're investing. You're investing time, you're investing emotion, you're investing, in some cases, certainly if you live there, your money. It's aggravating. And then the other problem I always have with a team is when they can't pick up the ball. I think you guys know that about me. I say it a lot. And this team doesn't pick up the ball. But again, at their worst, they're going to push for possibly, 40 wins. They're going to finish above 500. They've begun to right the ship big time, winning, like I said, 6 of their last 7. They do enough things well that you can kind of count on the fact that we're going to have postseason baseball to look forward to. And I just would urge those that have been frustrated like I have with this team this year, or even the one last year or the one year before, or whatever it is, to not take for granted that our worst is still pretty good, and certainly better than a lot of programs that have had more success ultimately in winning championships than us. It's not to say that you're not ready to move on. It's not to say that you're not still frustrated by certain shortcomings over the years. It's not to excuse away poor baseball when you see it. It is just to say this year is almost over already, and it went by so fast. And yet, I don't think I've maybe taken the time to smell the roses a little bit. I wanted to point that out because the game ended last night, and the game ended yesterday. I said something snide, and my wife said, they won. And it occurred to me, right, that in a nutshell, that's kind of this fan base with this program. She's like, they won. I was like, yeah, they did. They did. Yeah, they did. They won. And they always do. Big picture. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
The day I die, where will we be?
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Base hits in the first 4 frames and not a single run. In fact, the Braves are down 3-0 going into the 5th inning, but Atlanta scored once in the 5th, 3 more in the 6th, took the lead, but the Braves bullpen blew it in the bottom of the 6th inning. After Kevin Gausman gave up 3 runs in the 6th inning, it was Jesse Biddle who came on and walked the bases loaded, drove in a run as well, and that gave the Reds the lead they would not relinquish. Braves came to the plate in the 9th inning, trailing by 1 as they fought back to make it 7-6, and they had the tying run at 3rd with 2 down in the 9th.
The set, the pitch. Hit on the ground to first, down to get it is Votto. He'll underhand to the covering Iglesias, and the Reds capture Game 1.
Game 2 tonight, 6:40 Eastern, 5:40 Central. Matchup of a couple of right-handers. Mike Soroka gets the ball for the Braves. He's 0-1 with a 1.80 ERA, and he takes on former national Tanner Roark, who is 1-0 this season with a 3.60 ERA. I'm Ben Ingram, and this has been your Atlanta Braves Radio Network update.
Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Spilled your red wine? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills and messes quicker and is 2 times more absorbent than the leading ordinary brand, so you can get back on track quicker. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. See website for full details.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And now get your first month's supply for just $5 at 4hims.com/deliver. Hims connects you with real doctors online who can prescribe the medication, and a pharmacy sends it right to your door. So easy. To get your first order for just $5, you need to go to 4hims.com/deliver. That's 4hims.com/deliver.
Yuengling Golden Pilsner, a highly sessionable beer, golden in both name and color. Yuengling Golden Pilsner is the perfect balance of hop and malt character for crisp and smooth thirst-quenching refreshment. Cheer for your garnet and gold with Yuengling Golden Pilsner. Yuengling, brewing good times for 190 years. Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly. A message from local beverage distributor Triangle Sales.
At Indeed, we believe a resume is a great way to see an overview of a candidate, but you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring a person. That's why Indeed offers tools that help bridge the gap between a candidate and the resume, like skill tests, which let you actually see a candidate's abilities in action to make sure they're a good fit for the job. See beyond the resume with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Hendrick. Find new roads at the first annual Dale Earnhardt Jr. Race to 500. Shop our huge selection and get the biggest savings of the year. It's the final days. Visit either of our 2 Tallahassee locations or DaleEarnhardtJr.Chevy.com.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger gets a 2-year contract extension from the team. His contract now runs through the 2021 season. ESPN's Ryan Clark.
With so much drama, so many things we aren't used to seeing happen in Pittsburgh, they're now saying, you know what, Ben Roethlisberger, you lead us this season, but this also puts more pressure on Ben than it does any other player in the NFL. You don't have your stud running back, you don't have your stud wide receiver, and you got a new deal. So you need to come out here and show that you can take this team back to the playoffs where the Pittsburgh Steelers fans and that organization is used to being.
Roethlisberger could end up playing his entire career in Pittsburgh. He's been there since 2004. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Ravens kicker Justin Tucker will get a 4-year, $23 million extension, including $12.5 million guaranteed. That's a record deal for a kicker. ESPN's Field Yates reports the Cowboys pick up the 5th-year option for 2020 on running back Ezekiel Elliott's contract. Also, the Saints pick up the 2020 option on defensive lineman Sheldon Rankins. 67-year-old Alabama head coach Nick Saban is back at work today, just 2 days after hip replacement surgery. Saban is using a cane. He is not expected to attend the first round of the NFL draft tomorrow night. Alabama could have 3 first-round picks. In the NBA playoffs tonight, Jazz and Rockets in Houston, with the Rockets looking for a Game 5 series-clinching win. Clippers and Warriors in Oakland. Golden State leads that series 3-1, and coverage of that game begins at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
Yo, microphone check 1, 2, what is this? The 5-foot assassin with the roughneck business. I float like gravity, never had a cavity. Got more rhymes than the one that's got family.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good to be with you. A woman was killed yesterday after falling into a meat grinder. We have a winner. That's it. The oddities, the stories that have been sent over the years, the number of times we've had fun with the absurd, fully noting that somebody is devastated by this news, no doubt. That person's family, we're not laughing at them, just rather the absurdity of falling into an industrial-sized meat grinder. Okay, all right. Would not have picked that one. Would not have figured. Don't even have time to laugh at yourself. I like the ones where we can laugh with you, knowing that you might have been laughing at yourself. I think the last time we got to do this, it was the person that drove off the cliff after taking, I don't know what they were doing. They taking that turn. Remember that we were talking about how far they fell out of it was the Grand Canyon. Drove off the side there. And the reason we were laughing was that it was just a solo effort, and it was not a suicide, and so it wasn't like we were poking fun at somebody under distress. It was the absurdity of that was that they literally took a wrong turn, and we thought, man, they had like 12 seconds to think about that. Then there's the guy that drowned in horse manure or cow manure. That was good. But this is a winner. This is the one. This is it. Story reads, that a woman was killed Tuesday after falling into a meat grinder at her job at a food processing plant in Pennsylvania. First of all, a descriptor of a person working at a food processing plant in Pennsylvania sounds like the saddest life ever. If you just use that as a storyline, I met a guy named Jim at the bar. He works at a food processing plant just outside of a nothing town here in Pennsylvania. You'd go, oh, Jesus, Jim's life is terrible. So I just start there. That ain't good. If you work at a food processing plant, your life sucks. It just does. There's nobody working at a food processing plant going, I like my job. This is what I would have chosen. This is the route I wanted to go down. I figured in due time I could get in on the ground floor, work my way up here at the food processing plant. Jill Greninger, 35, standing on stairs next to an industrial-sized meat grinder, aforementioned, while working at Economy Locker Storage Company in Pennsdale, Pennsylvania, when she, quote, tragically either fell or was drawn into the machine, resulting in death, according to the county coroner, Charles Kiesling. Drawn into, do you mean pulled? Do you mean maybe an outer garment grabbed by the meat grinder and yanked her in, or drawn into as in she was mesmerized? Like, this is, were you just focused, hyper-focused? Was she stoned? Like, how would it be that you would be just drawn into? Follow the light? But the story gets better or worse depending on how you take these things. A fellow employee was left to discover Greninger, who had fallen, as I said, into the industrial-sized meat grinder, because, well, they were prompted. They were prompted to check on the grinder after they began to hear really strange noises coming from it. Yes, indeed.
Like screams.
I don't know. I thought about that as I read it. First, the end of the story. First responders worked more than 2 hours to disassemble the meat grinder to recover Jill. You can take your time. I mean, there's not... What a gruesome job. Get on it, Bob. We got to disassemble this, baby. Somebody's got to process the meat. We can't do it so long as Jill is in there. But they did, and then from there, and then this is where it gets sad. You got people coming out talking about how much they're going to miss her and all that stuff. And I don't want, listen, I get all that. I don't want to go there, but they weren't answering the phone. Eventually, they were asked for comment there at the Economy Locker Storage, and they noted that they weren't able to talk about it. They weren't allowed to talk about it. I imagine it's not the first time, but a meat grinder is no way to go. Or is it? Or is it quick? Because to your point, you said, imagine they heard screams. I don't know. It's an industrial-sized meat grinder. I got to believe it might have been very quick. We might associate, generally speaking, that if one were to fall into that kind of a machine, it's not going to be pretty, which it wouldn't be, but it may not have hurt. And if it doesn't, does it count? On our list, Jeff Cameron Show, JCS lists of odd deaths. This doesn't fall under thin the herd like many of you who have sent it to me today, either via email or Twitter. This isn't a thin the herd moment, I don't think. Thin the herd moments are when you're messing with nature. This isn't nature. Far from it. Thin the herd ones are the stories that I can embrace by saying, by all rights, this person might have deserved it. Like if you're messing with a bear, okay, hey, look, man. Messing with a lion, an elephant, a rhino, a cassowary, then this is, good on you. This is what happens. But when you're messing with, when you fall into a meat grinder, that doesn't classify. You can't send me hashtag thin the herd. That's not thin the herd. Now, maybe, just maybe, that puts an end to a very sad existence, but it's not thin the herd. Oh, how sterile and nasty. What a job. Every day staring at the same stuff. It's just death over and over and over and over again. And you're pressing buttons and you know what you hear a lot of in those places? Buzzers. Bzzz. Something else is opening, something else is closing. Just like that. And this time around, it was closing in on Jill. Now, not the highlight of the show, so we move forward. It's fast, and I've got plenty of other things. But did you watch the 3-0 lead vacated from Vegas with 10 minutes to play? Did you see the call?
I did not see it.
So for those that missed last night in sports, you missed a great night because not only was the basketball compelling, but the hockey was great too. And you have a Game 7 eventually won by San Jose, 5-4 in overtime. But the way it happened falls under the umbrella of worst losses for a fan base. Now, granted, I'm one to talk after the Lightning just got swept in 4 games. But in many ways, a 4-game sweep, even with lofty expectations, I think is easier to take than what happened to the Golden Knights, who were up 3-1 not too long ago before losing this series, but also having a 3-0 lead before allowing 4 goals in 4 minutes and 1 second. Holy, I'd much rather. We do this all the time in sport where you talk about worst ways to lose and everything across the board, whether that's up 3-0 and blowing it, whether that's being, last second heave or a kickoff return for a touchdown as time all the amazing endings in sports history. I always say if my team's going to get beat, I'd rather just have them get hammered. Have it be over. I mean, the Lightning were humiliated, but they lost in 4 games in a sport where you see some freaky results year to year. Even this year in the playoffs, with all the division winners getting booted or on the verge of being booted, you kind of, okay, it happens. This is much worse. Not only were they once up 3-1, but the call is nonsense. It's not a 5-minute major, and I beg you to go back and watch the call. Pavelski's is certainly hit and certainly was hurt, and it's not good to see. He's kind of half knocked out and bleeding on the ice, and I think that's in fact why the call was made, because what happens is they see the result of the hit and then they associate it with something more violent than it actually was. I think he was at a kind of awkward angle, and when you look at it, you see how he fell, but it was not. Well, it's not a 5-minute major. It's not. It's a bad call. And it changed, perhaps, the outcome of the game. But I think if you're on the team that loses here and you're up by 3, all right, you give up a goal, maybe even 2. Come on, man. You can't put that all on that call. 3-0, 10:47 to play in the third. That's when the check happens. It's across the chest. It sends Joe Pavelski stumbling a bit, and then he falls awkwardly, and when he does that, he falls into another person, and then when he falls awkwardly, he hits his head, and so that's gruesome. But I don't think, when you go back and watch that replay, it doesn't look like the officials even saw it. And afterwards, they kind of excused it and said, listen, ultimately, they viewed that it was a cross-checking penalty. They went on to say because it caused a significant injury in their judgment, it resulted in it merited a major penalty. I don't think it does, and I don't think anybody agrees with that, and I think that they saw the result and the injury, and they thought, therefore, that's the call they needed to make, and they may very well have cost them. I do love watching, even between 2 teams, I don't care, playoff hockey. It's the most riveting that there is in sport. This falls into a category of strange and riveting, but you can't give up 4 goals in 4 minutes, up 3, and then say a call beat you. I don't think. Be pissed if you want, and they are, and go read some of those quotes, but hockey delivers again, and if you're any of the people who Tom and I were talking about last week that, hey, maybe I'm mildly interested in getting into hockey, man, postseason will win you over time and again. You get oddities like this all the time. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Written in the headlights, it's something swimming in my drink. And if I
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
So join the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachian Parkway, right next to Earth Fair, for Kilts at the Casino, Saturday, April the 27th at 7 p.m. for a night you don't want to miss.
Thompson Services of Tallahassee, LLC, has been servicing the Tallahassee area for over 20 years with a variety of services from tire repair, new and used tires, changing of big truck tires, and 24-hour roadside service. Thompson Services of Tallahassee also will detail your car to perfection with wash and wax and a variety of affordable packages to have you riding nice and clean. Thompson Services of Tallahassee is located at 3014 South Adams Street, right across from Planet Fitness. Call for a convenient service appointment at 850-284-5907.
Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
At Indeed, we believe a resume is a great way to see an overview of a candidate, but you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring a person. That's why Indeed offers tools that help bridge the gap between a candidate and the resume, like skill tests, which let you actually see a candidate's abilities in action to make sure they're a good fit for the job. See beyond the resume with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Spring is coming, so don't let your lawn care to-do list get the best of you. At Land Care Equipment Sales and Service in Tallahassee, see all the amazing committed-to-the-cut grasshopper mowers, featuring best-in-class, built-to-outlast, true zero-turn mowing. Free up more of your time using your grasshopper for year-round lawn maintenance, from mowing to mulching and everything in between. So whether you're a pro or just want to mow like one, make your next mower a grasshopper. See them at 4211 Capitol Circle Northwest, or check them out at lawnmowerdealer.net.
Spilled your red wine? Quick, the Quicker Picker-Upper. Bounty picks up spills and messes quicker, and is 2 times more absorbent than the leading ordinary brand, so you can get back on track quicker. Bounty, the Quicker Picker-Upper.
This is Lisa Brady. 17 years ago, I opened Lisa's Paint and Body to provide Tallahassee with an honest repair shop. Thanks to you, our customers, we have outgrown our current location and soon will be moving. Our new location is twice the size, easier access, state-of-the-art equipment, and the newest technology.
ASE and ICAR certified technicians. Personalized attention, guaranteed results. 2820 Mahan Drive. Call 385-2665. Lisa's Paint and Body Shop, MV46050.
Who's ready for the best wings in Tally and locally brewed beers? Hobbit American Grill is the place to be. They've been voted Tally's best wings again in 2018. Hobbit offers Bingo Mondays, happy hour all-day Fridays with craft beers on tap from all the local breweries. And the Hobbit is your home for all the UFC fights, with plenty of high-def TVs for everyone. Be on the lookout for the food truck coming soon with the best lip-smacking wings in town. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Short segment, note this. If you're a Jags fan, don't check the NFL on ESPN, because not only is the story, and this one's innocuous, about the Jags being warned, and in particular Tom Coughlin being warned about criticizing players for not showing up to voluntary workouts. We know coaches view voluntary workouts, or anybody in football in the front office. They're not voluntary at all. They want everybody there. But, of course, the reality is players don't always show up for those sorts of things, especially if they're proven. And I get that it is, after all, voluntary. And Jalen Ramsey had something to say about that. And, of course, he did. He usually does. But just beneath that is the article as we get set for the draft. And, again, a reminder, tomorrow night we will be at Gordo's. Nope, we won't be at Gordo's. We'll be at his other entity, one of many, Bumpa's Local 349. We hope to see you there. Show up, Capitol Circle, and have fun with us, as the draft was there just a year ago, and we had a blast. I think this will, too. But they document a decade's worth of swings and misses within the top 10. And it's I thought about it for a second, because I would say, well, I don't know that that's entirely certain, but I was thinking about recent draft picks, right? Like, go just to 2017, Leonard Fournette. How would you classify that? Really good rookie season, awful second season. Jury's still out. You can't call that a bad pick. You certainly can't call Jalen Ramsey, 2016, fifth pick. He is, I think it's debatable, the best corner in all football, all of the National Football League. Certainly cover corner. He's right there. They took Dante Fowler, Jr., who is a little all over the map when assessing. He was traded, of course, in 2018. So I think if you look at off-field issues and you see inconsistency and then traded 3 years after you're drafted, yeah, you could probably classify that as a bit of a bust. Obviously, Blake Bortles, yes, is the franchise passing leader, but did lead the NFL in turnovers and isn't any good. Yeah, that's probably bust. Certainly not a – yeah. I remember when Luke Jokel, the left tackle, went, and everybody thought that was a surefire thing, right? Wasn't that the Texas A&M kid? As they had a series of guys. He missed 25 games in 4 years. Lots of injuries. You've got Justin Blackmon, who's indefinitely suspended at wide receiver. Forgot about him. Blaine Gabbert, 5-22 as a career starter. That's yeah. See, as you go back through and you see the Eugene Monroes of the league, and Tyson, was it Alalu? He's gone, and Derek Harvey. Yeah. Okay. Fail. Okay. Article's accurate. But I would say trending upwards. Fournette potentially. Certainly Ramsey. Not bad last two. Could it be three? Could he get to three? Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Longtime analyst John Gruden, who returned to coaching with the Raiders. Jason Witten stepped out of the booth after deciding to return as a tight end for the Cowboys. 4 members of a Texas family have been charged with federal crimes in what prosecutors say was a scheme that used stolen identities to get tickets to the Masters golf tournament, then resell those tickets at a healthy profit. Documents filed in U.S. District Court in Augusta, Georgia, do not say how many Masters tickets the 4 defendants are suspected of obtaining or how much money they made from any resales. And that is a Bloomberg Business of Sports report. I'm Michael Barr.
You're a small business owner, and there's nothing small about what you do. That's why Dell Small Business Technology Advisors give you trusted advice, one-on-one partnership, and tailored tech solutions, like computers with Intel Core processors, servers, storage, networking, plus thousands of top-brand electronics, accessories, and software. No matter your technology needs, Dell is here to help your small business do big things. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with an advisor today. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
As a doctor who provided medical care to remote islands, Dr. Ben Lebreau has seen some things.
Piracy, hurricanes, being struck by lightning.
While most of us can't relate to confrontations with pirates, we get that life and work come with a certain amount of risk. But your retirement shouldn't. Dr. Ben purchased an annuity to secure a guaranteed monthly retirement income for life, so his money won't stop working when he does. Find out if an annuity is right to protect your future at retireyourrisk.org.
I know you know this, and you probably have already suggested it, and maybe she's already had it. But, Tom, I'm bringing your girlfriend into the fold to talk about Bumpa's Local 349.
Don't you bring her in here.
I'm telling you now that she would love the ahi salad.
Oh, yes.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
that was
delicious.
That was the first thing she ever tried, and now anytime we are in the neighborhood, which is, a capital circle right between I-10 and Centerville. Like
you're
right
giving
in
the people
there.
the location for Bumpa's Local 349.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I like it.
Yes.
They have delicious food. I like tacos. You can't screw up tacos, but they do really good tacos.
I am a big fan of the Uncle Sal because the Uncle Sal is sausage, peppers, and onions. You can't go wrong with that trio, man.
You like the peppers and onions more than I do.
It must be like a New York thing. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Everybody's a little bit Italian because they're coming from New York because the peppers and onions isn't exactly Irish
I like
cuisine.
it when they're cooked up like that.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
like
hard to beat. A little mustard? Yeah.
I'm forever going to champion the wings and the Cobb salad. It's Bumpa's Local 349. They got live music. They've got a number of televisions and, of course, tasty beverages, man. Good stuff.
Hi, this is David at Deep South Kawasaki. Springtime is here and Deep South Kawasaki needs to clean house. So choose any new Kawasaki 2019 Brute Force ATV or any new motorcycle in stock and Deep South Kawasaki will pay the tax. That's correct. Huge discounts on all new ATVs and lots of motorcycles. So don't miss out and let the good times roll. Deep South Kawasaki located on US 19 South in Thomasville.
Read owner's manuals and all on-product warnings. Kawasaki ATVs with engines of 90 cc's and above are recommended for use by persons 16 years of age and older. Kawasaki also recommends that all ATV riders take a training course.
Are your carpets filled with memories, as well as stains, odors, and a few other things? The Home Depot makes replacing that carpet easy, with more styles and colors to choose from, and free installation by licensed local professionals backed for life. Today is the day for doing, with free carpet installation done right. Guaranteed. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. $699 minimum purchase required. For license information, visit homedepot.com/license numbers.
Hendrick.
It's the one race that everyone wins. Find new roads at the first annual Dale Earnhardt Jr. Race to 500. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet has to sell 500 cars now through April 30th. So start your engines, hit the gas, and save big. Shop our huge selection of Chevrolet cars, trucks, and SUVs, and get the biggest savings of the year. Hurry in for the final days to save. Visit either of our 2 Tallahassee locations or DaleEarnhardtJr.Chevy.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger gets a 2-year contract extension from the team. His contract now runs through the 2021 season. ESPN's Ryan Clark.
With so much drama, so many things we aren't used to seeing happen in Pittsburgh, they're now saying, you know what, Ben Roethlisberger, you lead us this season, but this also puts more pressure on Ben than it does any other player in the NFL. You don't have your stud running back, you don't have your stud wide receiver, and you got a new deal. So you need to come out here and show that you can take this team back to the playoffs where the Pittsburgh Steelers fans and that organization is used to being.
Roethlisberger could end up playing his entire career in Pittsburgh. He's been there since 2004. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Ravens kicker Justin Tucker will get a 4-year, $23 million extension, including $12.5 million guaranteed. That's a record deal for a kicker. ESPN's Field Yates reports the Cowboys pick up the 5th-year option for 2020 on running back Ezekiel Elliott's contract. Also, the Saints pick up the 2020 option on defensive lineman Sheldon Rankins. 67-year-old Alabama head coach Nick Saban is back at work today, just 2 days after hip replacement surgery. Saban is using a cane. He is not expected to attend the first round of the NFL draft tomorrow night. Alabama could have 3 first-round picks. In the NBA playoffs tonight, Jazz and Rockets in Houston, with the Rockets looking for a Game 5 series-clinching win. Clippers and Warriors in Oakland. Golden State leads that series 3-1, and coverage of that game begins at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. I hope you are well on this Balls McWednesday. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. You can email the show if you like. It's JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. YouTubers, hello. Same to you, Periscopers. I don't know why I just now noticed this, but I'm sure this was released earlier this morning, but Steelers are redoing and did redo and extended Ben Roethlisberger's contract. A lot of football on the mind right now, obviously. I'm looking at any number of things and waiting for trades, and that's the lead item for the National Football League.
Yeah, I believe his contract was entering its final year.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to run Antonio out of town, you may as well re-sign the quarterback for as long as he's willing to play, because that's who you put your money behind.
Problem is, though, of course, that he hasn't shown that he cares to play football all that often these days. He's frequently heard or him and Han about possibly retiring even as they get ready to enter a season. Guess he's changed his mind on that. This contract signs him through the year 2021. He says he's excited about that, and he's ready to come back. So, all right. Now, listen, let's not get crazy here. He's not what he once was, but he is still really good. When he plays.
The number I heard was that he threw for the most yards last year in the NFL. Not that that's always a great thing, because that means a lot of things about the score situation. But he still got it. Whatever it is to be a franchise guy. Sorry.
37 years old, led the NFL in attempts last year, completions last year, passing yards last year. He had a league-high 16 picks, though. Also did throw 34 touchdowns. That wasn't a league-high 16 picks. That article is wrong. Somebody threw more than 16 picks. Jameis did.
Somebody had to. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure.
Maybe a career high?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, I think he's thrown more than that in a season, but he had 34 touchdowns last year. The number you were talking about, by the way, in terms of yardage, modern era football, folks, these were numbers that would otherwise have been staggering back in the day. 5,129 yards. Did you know we had a 5,000-yard passer in Ben Roethlisberger last year?
No, because it's
now frequent.
I yawn. It's like 40 home runs, these days. Now that we're back to hitting the ball out of the ballpark again. Whoop-de-doo. 41 home runs. Congrats.
41's is still a pretty good bit of home runs. I mean,
5,000 yards is still a pretty good amount of yards, but whatever. A guy hit 40 home runs. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're not odd. Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. I was thinking about this the other day, and once a year in baseball I do this. But when how we were talking about we get up as kids and look at the box score and look at batting average and RBIs and home runs, and, the era I grew up in, you could lead Major League Baseball in home runs for a season with 36.
Yeah, and you're just a mauler. You're a masher, a true slugger.
Willie Stargell, I think, led the major leagues, or at least the National League, one year with 38 home runs. I know that. I think Darryl Strawberry, your boy, did it one year in the 30s as well.
That might have been 79.
Pirates, 79, yeah.
Yeah, Stargell's MVP season.
Yeah, 38.
It's 36, 38, something like that. They threw up his numbers because he had a co-MVP in the NL with Keith Hernandez that year. And Keith didn't hit anywhere near 20 home runs, but his batting average was absurd. It was like 360 or something.
Well, yeah, I remember I mean, I do miss certain aspects. I know we know that batting average is dependent on a lot of things that are out of a player's control, but I do miss guys attempting to hit 400. Like I remember the George Brett 390 year.
So 16 interceptions did, in fact, lead NFL quarterbacks last year. How about that?
What?
Jameis threw 14.
Okay.
I guess the benching and then the missing in the beginning of the season helped him out there. Yeah. But he and Andrew Luck, Ben and Andrew Luck, tied for 16 for the lead with 16 picks.
I would have most assuredly guessed, now that you bring him up, if I had had the time, I would have said Andrew Luck, because it seems like, that is the best comp. I've said it before. Smart, big, capable of awe-inspiring play, but also just absolute foolishness. And that's Jameis and Andrew Luck. They're kind of Andrew Luck's a better athlete.
Oh yeah, but not better rolling out and passing the ball.
Well, hell, nobody in the league is besides Aaron Rodgers, and that's even then it's debatable at times, especially if we're talking about going to the right.
Correct. One more footnote on Ben, and that is the tied for second most interceptions he's thrown in a season. He also threw 16 picks. Just a few years back, but he has thrown as many as 23, and that was in his third season in the NFL. In 2006, he did throw 23 picks against just 18 touchdowns. So he had a little downturn in the beginning of his career, did Ben.
I'm wondering if we'll see a correction in the league. It doesn't – I mean, certainly Arizona's not banking on that, given what they're about to do tomorrow when they draft Kyler Murray. Which now seems to be a fait accompli. That's going to happen now, right? We all seem to know this. I'm still waiting on the trade. Still waiting to hear what the details of that are going to look like in terms of Josh Rosen, who's miffed about the situation, although he did show up.
Well, I mean, he's got every right to be miffed. Everybody says, does this guy love football or not or whatever, but at some point, I think you have a right to be angry at this situation. Like, okay, guys, just get it over with then.
Yeah, I would say the same. I wouldn't have even shown up to camp. I guess he's just being a pro, which is probably a good thing. Maybe it garners you respect across the league. I don't know. Maybe with groups that are looking into trading you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It could get you a better opportunity because you're being a good soldier.
The thought that the league could show a correction, because we've seen things like this be sort of a flight of fancy for a year or two and then turn around because either physically the league is able to adjust and coaches adjust and then punishment is delivered and teams really realize they can't play the style that they were hoping to play, and thus the experiment is over. That seems to be different than what has happened in the latest trend with quarterback play in the way that the offense is now. Certainly the passing game centered around being in the shotgun almost every time. The under-center quarterback, which still exists certainly, is now something that is no longer a requirement when you're drafting a guy. And so for years, around this time, as we head into the draft, you and I have always asked the question, is it short-lived or is this now going to be permanently accepted?
Well, I don't think it will be short-lived for the quarterback position. I think it'll be short-lived because that's what the bulk of offenses across college football are bringing in.
Yeah, exactly right.
And so I think the NFL game has to adapt.
It's that and the rules changes.
Its supply change is completely different. Yeah. I mean, if you're giving me different ingredients or different pieces to the puzzle and I've still got to build a car, I got to find a way to build the car instead of, searching high and far for these long-lost pro-style pieces.
Oddly enough, the thing that frustrates coaches the most in the league is not with quarterbacks, but rather offensive linemen. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
This spring, turn to the experts at Carrier. Learn more about great rebates and 0% financing for up to 60 months. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 057652.
Barano Heating and Air Conditioning.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Let me tell you, Nissan has hit it out of the park this month with huge rebates and special interest rates. You get both, and it's on all 2019 Altimas, Maximas, and Muranos. So listen to this. 2019 Altimas, $5,000 off and 2.9% interest for 60 months. 2019 Maximas, $5,000 off and 1.9% interest for 60 months. And 2019 Muranos, $5,000 off and 0.9% interest for 60 months. Seriously, over 100 2019 Altimas, Maximas, and Muranos in stock are $5,000 off, and they all have 0% interest. You get both. Plus, all trades are $1,000 over Kelley Blue Book, and Kraft Nissan will include 2 years or 20,000 miles free maintenance when you mention this ad. Kraft Nissan, where you can stack huge discounts, huge rebates, special interest rates, and $1,000 extra for your trade. It all equals the best price and the lowest monthly payments in town. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
At Indeed, we believe a resume is a great way to see an overview of a candidate, but you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring a person. That's why Indeed offers tools that help bridge the gap between a candidate and the resume, like skill tests, which let you actually see a candidate's abilities in action to make sure they're a good fit for the job. See beyond the resume with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram is the Jeep headquarters of America. We've purchased over 100 Jeep Renegades, and they've all arrived and are on the lot for immediate delivery. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude with MSRP starting at $25,120. On sale now for $18,870. That's a savings of $6,250. A new Jeep starting at only $18,870. Those prices are unheard of and can only be found at your Jeep headquarters of America, Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. No other dealer can offer you this kind of savings. We buy in mass quantities and pass along the savings to you. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude, starting at $18,870. Payments as low as $299 a month. On the corner of West Tennessee and Capitol Circle, where we're right on the corner and always right on the price. Check us out on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. All prices include rebates and incentives plus tax, title, and dealer fee. State number 18J605. Must finance through Chrysler Capital and qualify for all rebates and incentives.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Are you starting a new business or expanding your business? Looking for the right general contractor to assist you with a tenant space build-out? Look no further. From restaurant to retail, we have the experience to work with you. At T-Spark Enterprises, we are ready to be a part of your vision and build a space that exceeds your expectations. Whether you're looking for design build or build from your own design, give us a call today for a free consultation. As the owner of T-Spark Enterprises, I guarantee when it comes to your business space, we only provide picture-perfect results.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CGC 1525336.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Yet another commitment for Florida State. Wow. I said it yesterday on the program, and Tom, I'll let you cue it in just a moment because I actually want to look at the article on warchant.com and cite something from it. Good job, Michael Langston and Ira Schafel. I'll do it in a minute. But first, I talked about it yesterday because it caught my eye. You guys know, certainly this time of year and this far out, I don't spend hardly any time on recruiting, nor does it in my personal life really become something on my radar all that often. So when it does, I take notice that things are being done. Things are happening that aren't commensurate with a 5-7 finish. Things are happening for the 2020 class that I really didn't think would be possible, save for a really strong turnaround this year on the field. Meaning you'd have some late commitments based on, hey, they look better. We're seeing this team making strides, I think they're moving in the right direction. Willie's not going to be an unmitigated disaster, so maybe I will reconsider Florida State. You might get people on board that way once you prove that this thing is being fixed. I didn't think that you could get a lot of kids, maybe not even a handful of kids, to really not only buy in, but celebrate and be excited about being committed to Florida State in the way that you're currently watching these kids do it. You and I were talking during the break, Tom, and it's true for anybody reading these articles or reading the quotes from the kids that are committed right now, that they're all really carrying the bucket. They're carrying the water, if you will, for Florida State. They become recruiters themselves. They celebrate it, embrace it, and can't wait to be part of the solution. And it's interesting because it appears to me, and I'm not a recruiter, but I am now starting to read across the board to look at the state, to look at the region, to look at the classes nationally. It certainly seems to me that Florida State has what I would call legitimate momentum in recruiting. And that's surprising. I think for the obvious reasons, that is very, very surprising. So let's learn about the latest. If you would, cue it up, sir.
Hello once again, friends. It's time for What Them Kids Doing.
Look at that jibber jabber Jeff. What's that kid bench? How fast does he run?
Hey, who let you in here?
Look at him. I bet he can bench a lot. What them kids doing, Jeff?
So what they're doing is committing to Florida State right now, and again, it just takes a glance at the board there, big board, if you will, to note that Florida State is getting a lot of yeses from important players at key positions. And last night they got another one.
Big board.
Derek Bermudez. He is a defensive back out of Jacksonville. He's committed now, verbally committed for the 2020 class. He'll join that highly regarded 2020 class of defensive backs. My goodness gracious. And at first I thought, okay, I like the size. I don't know anything about him, obviously. I haven't seen him in Sandalwood over there in Jacksonville. I haven't watched any tape or anything like that. But I right off the bat saw 6'2", 180, and I went, oh, okay, all right, this is part of that trend we like to see. And then I went on to see that he's a guy that had over 20 offers, and those offers include schools like Auburn, Oklahoma, the University of Florida, obviously us, and he commits to us. So you can go back through and look at the number of teams, and the list goes on and on. They're a who's who, a veritable who's who of college football powerhouses. And he has said yes to Florida State for the reasons, quote, FSU has been the place that I feel at home whenever I'm there. I feel it's a place I can be developed. I just knew that this was going to be the place for me. And he was elated as he shared the news. All flights are canceled is his post online, that he's not going anywhere else. And that leads us to something else, Tom, that I think is interesting. And here's where I'll cite the 321 from warchant.com in the article that Ira Schafel and Michael Langston put together. And that is that that aspect of their recruiting pitch. I'll skip over Telly Lockett, who's doing a great job right now and apparently very, very important within this group of coaches as it pertains to recruiting.
South Florida
in particular is right, yes. But I'll go to the second part of the article here in which they kind of talk about the no-visit rule, which is something that, I don't know that a lot of us thought that would be a real good idea to have a no-visit rule. And what that was is, you go back, Willie Taggart and his staff have started to encourage players not to commit to Florida State unless they're done taking visits to all other schools. So it's not so much, hey, you have to sign with us and you'll never. It's, listen, don't give us a commitment if you're not committed. Novel concept, I know, but we're talking about kids. And we know what kids do. They often commit, decommit, become reedy-rees, commit, recommit, decommit. The dreaded reedy-ree, which I talked about years ago, is something you see becoming all too common, and we all get frustrated by it, always understanding that 18-year-olds are fickle. And so now anymore, that was one thing that Jimbo Fisher did a really good job with when he cared to recruit before he gave up on the university and the program, was that he would get a commitment, and those kids did not waver.
Yeah, make no mistake, this doesn't end the fact that we're going to have some kids flip from us on signing day.
There'll
or in the middle of
probably
the
be a
season.
few, yeah, especially if you don't win games.
But it limits your chances because the kid really has to think about committing to Florida State now. And so that puts them in a different place where, they could visit the school in the spring and say, perfect, I love this place, I'm committed. I'm still going to go see Clemson, Alabama, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could commit and do that, or whether the way Florida State says it, no, you have to prove to us that you've shut down all other visits. So we know what we have. And it's a trickle-down effect from the early signing period. Heard Chuck Oliver talking about this yesterday. But the point being that because there is an early signing period, coaching staffs, they used to rest on their laurels, the good ones. They'd say, screw recruiting in season, screw recruiting in the summer leading up to camp. We'll get them all in December and January. No big deal. They don't have that luxury anymore. So they got to know what they're working with sooner.
Yes.
Which is why now in the spring, you're seeing in your top 25 of the recruiting rankings, a lot more of the usual halves are there earlier in the process because now they have to put an onus on recruiting kids securing their commitments earlier due to December being the day, not February.
Quote from that article, on the front end, this can be an inconvenience because it makes it harder to pick up momentum with a flurry of early commitments, but the Noles are hoping the strategy will save them time and energy on the back end, as Tom was explaining to some extent there. The nice thing about the change in approach is that it seems to be leading to stronger convictions from the prospects who do jump on board early and commit. Instead of committing and then still flirting publicly with several other schools, virtually all of FSU's commitments at this point are acting as a bell cow, recruiting on social media, urging other Nole targets to join the class now. That's creating the much-needed momentum. After the way that 2018 ended, you wouldn't have thought it. And again, that's what I keep being surprised. That's what gets my attention is that every day I get up and I check these things in the morning. We go to all sites FSU. You go to all outlets, college football, pro football. Then you're looking at baseball, basketball, and you're doing your show prep. But what I've noticed lately is every time I get up and do that and start the reading and show prepping process, there's another commit. There's another verbal to Florida State from a highly regarded prospect that was also being looked at by, I don't know, in some cases, Alabama, Florida, Miami, Georgia, Oklahoma, Auburn. And I'm thinking, well, this is absolutely stunning because we, admittedly, for all the teams I just mentioned, would be low on that ladder. 5 and 7 makes it difficult to gain momentum, to secure trust that things are going to be okay, but they're finding a way to do that.
Well, and you wonder how much bringing the new coaching staff in or the new parts of the coaching staff is helping and how much reallocating David Kelly to an organizational role is helping. For my money, what I heard in the spring game is reviews were largely positive, but there were still some things behind the scenes that could have been a lot better. But it was an improvement for sure. So the actual experience, it's almost like the you go to a VIP area, like a VIP lounge or VIP experience at a tailgate.
Pass.
You have the pass, and the guy lets you through because you have the VIP pass.
Mm-hmm.
You always note how the customer service is, much better because that's what you paid for is partially the experience.
Mm-hmm.
We were lacking really, really badly in that area last year. We're not quite where we need to be, but we're better.
We're better.
So I wonder if maybe that is also part and parcel here to what we're seeing.
Kendall Briles is a big deal to recruits as well, but I should note that, again, when you're looking at the targets currently and you're looking at the quantity and quality of offensive line targets that Florida State is going after, then you can't help but think that Randy Clements has made an impact as well. That's going to be the next area where you continue to see what I think is an uptick in quality of player. Now, Now, we have a long way to go. An offensive line rebuild is not an overnight thing. But when you're as bad as Florida State has been on the offensive line, and to be sure, I don't think they'll be good this year. I am not predicting that Florida State's offensive line is going to be the reason this team wins a lot of football games. In fact, they'll be the reason that they get held back, because I think there's enough in place in key areas that if the offensive line were strong, then you could rightfully project with that schedule, which I classify as pretty damn easy. You could rightfully project 9 wins, maybe even 10 if you were feeling froggy, with a offensive line that was slightly above average. But it's not going to be slightly above average. It's probably going to be at best slightly below average. But if you have something you can hang your hat on, and you have the cavalry coming, and you have a guy in Randy Clements that offensive line recruits believe in, want to hear from, and are going to, again, continue this process in which momentum is gained and certain key figures within a class become the bell cow, then you can see a relatively quick turnaround. I mean, as quick as you can hope for when you're having to rebuild an entire group that was the bane of our existence. You might get a guy like we did this last class with Dante Lucas, who already appears that if he starts, while certainly will be taught a lesson at times by juniors and seniors who've been in programs for a long time, getting bigger, stronger, learning the tricks, all that stuff, but at least has the requisite, to me, the requisite personality and I guess mindset to be good enough to get to be better than anything we had a year ago, for lack of a better term. I mean, throwing him out there, I don't want to disparage him. I just know that freshmen get taught lessons. But he's a nasty guy. I mean, he wants to hit somebody, and sometimes it's the wrong person, but he wants to hit somebody.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the spring game, to me, it's hard to see how he's not a starter by mid-year or year's end at the very least. Yeah. Because of what he can do, both physically when he gets his hands on you.
Correct.
But then how agile he is if we want to pull, which is, I mean, listen, the offensive line scheme is pretty simple. The whole thing is going to be pretty simple.
This whole thing is really simple.
But they do like to move their offensive linemen to create protections and angles. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole thing here, especially if your tackles are terrible. Well, maybe flexing a guard out and pulling a guard to block the edge defender and allow the tackle to block down might be something that creates a pocket for you, or at least the ability to step one direction or the other, more than you would be able to if you had a standard 5-man protection.
Did you notice, speaking of which, protection, all that stuff, I know it's a spring game, and we promised we wouldn't delve too far into spring game results. I hear the clicky pen, and you're right to do it, but if you just go back and look at, formationally, and you look at the design, the complementary routes, those kinds of things, did you notice how it was just a refreshing thing to see a safety valve on almost every play? I mean, you have, basically it's levels. So you have the ability, obviously you're going to send somebody, let's say, for example, on a deep post or skinny post or something like that, but you have a lot of groupings, triplets, those kinds of things in which a guy just turns and stands on the line of scrimmage, and if you play off, that is there. It's 5 yards, and it's an out for an offensive line that is sketchy.
Right.
So thank you, because last year we grew infinitely frustrated that they weren't complimenting one another.
Right.
Hey, I recognize my offensive line is poor. What must I do? Get the ball out of my quarterback's hands with the quickness, but he's got nobody to throw to.
Yeah,
what are we doing?
Yeah, the crappy thing about it is, one of those plays where we actually tried to do it in the season was the screen pass against Miami, and kid stops running. But that's a safety valve kind of look if you're looking for an example.
But they had it on almost every play when I went back and watched.
You got to.
You have to.
Yeah.
It's there.
Personnel dictates that you have to have that.
Well, our offensive line is so bad that, I would think that the easier, the better, and the quicker, the more necessary with this group, you got to build that in at all times. Now, listen, if they don't play off, then all right, you throw it over his head. You've got that opportunity.
You can't on Terry's side of the field, though. You can't play right up on him.
No.
You're dead.
You're dead.
That's the one benefit you have with a guy like that.
You have a freak.
Yeah.
You have a freak, and he'll lift the lid time and again. And
James is not afraid to let that pass go.
No, he's not. But I will tell you this, man. Jordan Travis did a much better job of hitting the intermediate passes and recognizing. I would tell you that I thought Jordan Travis, not that I'm telling you he's going to be our starting quarterback. Hell, we don't even know he can be. But what I am saying is that those intermediate passes in the middle of the football field, he did a better job of because he recognized what the defense was playing quicker.
Yeah, he did. I think a lot of that is how vanilla the defenses are.
Without
he also
question.
missed, you talk about flares and checkdowns and stuff. He missed about 4 or 5 of them that are like, whoa, come on, dude. What are you looking at?
Yeah, they've got a crop of average-ass quarterbacks. and one's going to do something better than the other, and there are going to be moments. It seems to me they don't really complement each other in this way. Like Jordan Travis isn't going to be the guy to make the beautiful long down the field pass that you see James Blackman make to Terry or somebody else,
Right.
where you go, whoa, wow, that's in there. If we can block it up.
Well, the thought is, hopefully, maybe you have a guy like Rector available to you because I think he's been processed and he completed his undergraduate
Yeah, he got
part of his
accepted.
requirements.
Yeah.
So he's here, and that dude looks like he could be a short yardage mauler. Like as in, 3rd and 2, you want to create a numbers advantage.
We're getting radical. We got 3 quarterbacks we're going to roll out at you at any given time.
Oh, I don't think we're rolling Jordan Travis. Even if he gets his waiver cleared by both the ACC and NCAA. Nah, I know a lot of people saw a lot of good things, and there were some good throws. The anticipation on an in-breaking route over the middle, 100%, I agree with you. It gets out of his hand quickly.
Oh, really well done.
And he looks like he might be
also
able to
the proper
develop
depth on the throws over the linebacker.
Right, which James was not great at.
Not
in
great
this
at
game.
it all. Should have been picked several times.
But Jordan Travis left a lot out there. I was like, yeesh.
No,
I don't know.
You know what's interesting about that? I thought he was going to be awful. I thought he was going – and we've reverted to talking about the spring game. Maybe we should have done this sooner. But I would just say this. We did reference it earlier, right after it happened. I had zero expectations. So maybe the bar was so low that he exceeded the expectations in a way that left me kind of pleasantly surprised.
Well, I think what you're getting at, too, is since we talk off the air about these things, practice reports from the eyes.
He was
and
awful.
ears, he was awful. So maybe he's a bit of a gamer, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
You need that.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can develop in practice, well, you know that he's not afraid of the bigger stage, and that's nice.
You're right about that, and I think that part of the reason that he performed well in that game, better than I thought, how about that's a better way of phrasing it, is he had more of a command of the offense than I thought he'd have. His mechanics are fine, by the way. He doesn't have, he's never going to be thought to have a great arm, but his mechanics are fine. And the other part about that is he seemed to have a pretty good grasp, at least of what they were asking him. They weren't asking him to do a lot. I think that will be a byproduct of the fact that this offense is really not hard. It has to be simple so you can play fast. So there ought not be any confusion about what we're trying to do.
I mean, it was night and day. That was the one thing you can take is it's night and day pre-snap. Everybody kind of knew where the hell to be. It's a great concept.
Well, they knew where to be. They got lined up, and I think they read what they were looking at defensively. Receivers and quarterbacks were on the same page.
Yeah, the only one that was a little frustrated was Warren Thompson a couple of times where he was open. He made perhaps some correct reads, or maybe he didn't, and he did the wrong thing. That dude runs a little warm. But he can be a weapon.
He's passionate. We don't lack weapons.
Jordan Young is. Look at that body type on the field.
I tell people, and I get asked this a lot out of market if I'm on a show or if I run into somebody and say I'm out of town on vacation, and we start talking about the team, and they'll talk about woe is you guys, you're not even close to competing with Clemson, and my God, what happened to Florida State? Invariably, we go down that road, but I always interject somewhere along in there that, hey, yeah, no, I got it. We're not where we need to be. Certainly not in the Atlantic against that team over there in South Carolina, but. They're not devoid of really talented skill players. Like, don't get it twisted. We just can't block anybody. And in addition to not being able to block anybody, we got average quarterbacks. So, yes, that's a bad combination, and you're right to note it, but I would tell you that our receivers and our running backs are very good, some even exceptional. And then I would also note that I think potentially we're really good on the interior of the defensive line, without question, and got some depth and size there and talent there. I can't help but think that Jaleel McRae and others are going to make that linebacking core much better than they were a year ago. So that was an area of grave concern. And then last year we didn't cover anybody, but I think they get a chance to be a lot better there too. So there's reason to believe this team can be a far cry from the 5-7 squad we saw this past season.
Yeah, okay, I'm still clicking the pen, but the one thing I'd say, and it extends to the point I think you're making here with early commitments and bell cows and all that kind of stuff with this recruiting class for 2020, the culture here is in position to be flipped as long as we don't fall on our face.
Yes, that's the whole thing, and you have the schedule for it, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
you could see it. Now it's not there because you got to go win.
You still got to do
so
it.
These kids can truly buy into it. But it's really, I think they've done as much as they can to put it in position to completely flip and for it to be healthy once again.
It's why we get excited and then we temper it because we understand that while it's in place, you still got to go win. You got to prove you're not a disorganized mess on game day. You got to, all that stuff has to be in place. Jeff Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
might be drinking wine, too, with me if you're able to win some money with TVG. All right, TVG. Here's what I'll tell you, because I didn't know this, but then I did. I saw it, and I got excited about it, and it's something to point out. The Run for the Roses at Churchill Downs kicks off Triple Crown season on May the 4th, of course. Omaha Beach and Roadster, by the way, figured to be early betting favorites, Tom. Did you know that?
Omaha Beach, really?
Omaha Beach.
Going with like a D-Day name for a horse?
Omaha Beach and Roadster.
All right.
There's also the thought that Maximum Security, who burst out of a $16,000 claim racing to win the recent Florida Derby at Gulfstream, could do it. You're learning these tidbits from my friends at TVG. In fact, if you want today's picks, I noticed that there are a few picks from Dwayne Weaver, Scott Hazelton, and Kaiten Breeder. She's made her picks for the day for this evening's races, so you can still get in on those.
Omaha Beach edges out Pearl Harbor. I mean, what are we doing here?
If you don't like their picks, there's Matt Carruthers. He, too, looking at the Tampa Bay Downs on a $3 ticket, 50 for the trifecta, baby. It's in there. So right now, you can download the TVG app or just go to tvg.com/979 and get this exclusive offer. TVG will double your first deposit up to $100 within 15 days. There's more than that, though. If you make your first deposit of 100 bones, TVG will give you an extra free $20 to bet. So you're going to start with $220, bottom line, just for investing 100. Now let's get to betting, and let's take advantage of some really cool stuff. They offer the best online betting experience with plenty of promotions, money-back specials. If your horse finishes second or third, for example, you might win some money. Don't have to win it necessarily. You can play that Super 8, possibility of winning $100,000. You can watch all this play out on your TV if you have an Apple television or a Roku or an Amazon Fire Stick and the like. It's time, and it's the most exciting time in horse racing. So I'm on board with TVG. You can too. My listeners get this special offer, tvg.com/979. They want to give you money to bet with. I would take it if I were you. And I would note that if you're going to sign up, age and residency restrictions, they do apply. All that void where prohibited stuff. But full terms and conditions can be found. tvg.com/979. Get started today. Good stuff. Tampa Bay Downs. There's a $48 ticket out there for the race there. I'm going to look later when we get off the air to see if I trust Scott Hazelton or Dave Weaver.
Scott Hazelton sounds like the 1998 PGA champion.
Yeah, he came out of nowhere to win it, made a bunch of putts, never to be heard from again.
That's right, exactly.
Well, I'm now tracking, so Keeneland is a big deal in horse racing, and I'm now tracking these guys' picks and the woman's picks. I don't exclude her for being a woman, Tom. She might know about the horses. You never know. But all of their experts, I'm tracking and keeping statistics on. I want to see who's in the money there. It's like if you play fantasy golf, you understand that there are certain guys that seem to be pretty on it, finishing in the top 5%.
Yeah, you're having a good year. You know, because it might be that the other person's good the year prior.
That's true.
You know how it is, especially when you get into your forte, which happens to be a little bit my forte too.
Yeah.
Which is
you get on a roll.
The
You figure
fall.
things out. Yeah.
Some years you have a really good feel. Some years moderate. And
Not
some
as
years
much.
Not at all.
No. I'm watching you, Gabby Gaudette. Gabby Gaudette posted her pick 4 just now while we were talking. Let's go, Gabby. I'll mark it.
What do you say? What do you say?
Lane 1. She's got horse 1, horse 4, and horse 5.
Okay.
I'll go look up those horses' names. It's right there on the website, Tom. And then I'll make my pick if I agree with her. Not that I would have room to disagree. I'm learning. That's part of the fun with this advertising campaign because, admittedly, I am involved and I do have my own money in this, and they did give me money to bet. And I am learning every day when I use this thing, like, I don't know. That horse seems to suck. I'm not betting on that horse anymore. Or this horse is kicking ass.
I'm too distracted this segment. I can't take my eyes off that Gordo's hat. Where did you get it? I know where and from whom, but how long have those been available?
The other day I got it, and I'm glad. This is going to be a segment in which all of our sponsors get mentioned.
I'm not even trying to do that. That is a fantastic freaking hat.
It is a fantastic hat. I got 2 of them. I'll get you one, buddy. I'm sure there's another one out there.
Do they all come in blue or what's
No. I've got this one. I got a gray one. One of them's offset. It's got Eddie off to the right side, and it's blank everywhere else, which I like.
Okay.
And then another one is green.
Is like the bright highlighter color?
No. It's a forest green that you and I like. Oh, classy. My wife took that one from me today. She was a chaperone on a field trip, so she took it. She said, "I need to wear this. It's going to be hot out there." And I said, "By all means, spread the love of Gordo's to neighboring cities. Have a good time with it." That they're going to do that. All right, so back to this. You know what I wanted to do, but maybe I won't do that now because I can save it. There is a news story for the day it's been sent in by our lovely listeners probably 25 times today. I think you probably know the one I'm talking about. But I do now. The Twitter account's become a home for the macabre. I mean, guys, I like dark and freaky and weird and Thin the Herd and all that. But now I'm getting stories. I'm like, oh, okay, dude, no, that's a murder. That's straight up a murder. I don't need to see that. You don't need to send me that. I'm going to draw the line on the murder.
So we're developing some goalposts here.
Yeah, we are. We're starting to figure it out. But I wanted to bring this up to you because
That's not what you do.
Here's a rando for you because you, like me, love the show and have been invested for years. Are you watching my man James here on Jeopardy?
Oh, yes.
Well, this is silly.
Yes, it is.
But you know why I like him?
Because of the creepy serial killer grin?
Because of the knowing nod. With every question that gets asked, every single one, the absurdity of the depth of knowledge, the breadth of knowledge, and the willingness, since we were just talking about gambling, to be on the table guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Daily Double. I'll risk it all, Alex.
Well, and he comes with crazy numbers, too. Like, he'll be at $28K, and he'll get a double, and, like, the next closest person is, $10,000. He'll be like, I'll do 14,631. Like, okay. Fine. And Alex like, fine.
Yeah, but it's awesome. And, listen, it's one thing to be able to answer everything under the sun, to whether it's, Homer or Mozart or whatever else is the answer. I'm loving that. But at the same time, to just straight up say, I'll risk it all here, Alex. Time and again. With a comfortable lead. He's just like, screw it. You guys are no competition. I'll get it back even if I lose. Shabada!
Yes, that's what he does.
It is bold.
The one thing I'd say, though, is he has that serial killer's kind of grin.
You worried about him?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe just a little bit. But he dropped down with a really gangster line when he closed out Final Jeopardy the other night because he always puts a salutation in his Final Jeopardy to family or whatever. Happy birthday, Dad. So he puts these hi to three names. He goes, other family? He goes, no, I've actually run out of family, so these are friends. Which is cold-blooded as hell.
Yeah, that is cold-blooded, and it's awesome. And now he's become a star, obviously. The last time we had to talk about a guy on the show Jeopardy was Ken Jennings, 174 consecutive, earned over $2.5 million. My man here is only up to, 900 and whatever thousand it is now?
Well, I didn't. The streak's not over, right? He didn't lose last night? Or are they in a tournament now or something else where he takes a break?
I recorded last time. I didn't look.
I don't know. But he was at 940 or 950K.
943,000 is last I saw.
Yeah. I don't know if he's lost, and this is old news, but yeah. I doubt he has, though.
We would have heard by now.
Probably.
Yeah. It's terrible radio if it's already over. In which case, we'll just wear it.
Well, that's fine, but, we took part in the phenomenon, and it was one of those things, again,
it's really worth watching.
We communicate about these things, but we never talked about this, and yes, I have seen this.
Well, you like the show, and I like the show, and me and Bryce play every night. We sit down and watch, and, as a young kid, he doesn't have the depth of experience, nor has he read as much, of course, and so, like all little kids, they marvel at their dad for knowing pretty basic stuff a lot of times. When I get the tough ones, he's like, Dad, son, you'll be educated, too. You'll learn this in middle school and in high school and then college, and from there, maybe
you'll forget more than you remember.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And like your dad often yells expletives at the TV saying, I know that, I just don't know it in time. That's what happens to your brain. That happens to me all the time. That pisses me off.
That's like a needless foul up the court for FSU basketball. It will evoke a vocal response.
Well, what makes you mad is when you know it, and if you were given another 5 seconds, it's not enough to know it. You got to be fast. I mean, that's the thing. I give him credit. I mean, that's instant recall. There's some where I'm like, please don't get this right. I know they censor, and then I do get it right because somebody misses it, and then I get it right before the next person. I'm like, see, your dad would have gotten that, but I can't play on this thing because, damn it, they're all quick draw McGraw.
Do you have a smart device at home like the Echo Dot?
No.
Okay, because they do have a Jeopardy on there, and it asks you an extra clue from every category.
Really?
Every day.
Yeah, no, I got freaked out by all the stuff I was reading about Echo and everything else.
Oh, they listen.
They're all listening. I don't need all that extra listening.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
They now know my opinions on
Everything.
everything.
Pretty cool. I think they already did.
Well, I think they know that I want John Cooper out in Tampa. So maybe they can file that away at Amazon services.
You start getting, I do love, and this phenomenon grows more every day, the more intrusive in our lives, the internet, electronics, social media, you name it, becomes, and the algorithms used to directly target market every possible group. I know exactly what group I'm in. I knew that a long time ago just from watching television commercials because of the music that they chose, which said, oh, this guy likes this, and this is the kind of person that likes this, and thus, here's the psychedelic first. Got me. Guess I'm going to be buying that coffee tomorrow. But one thing I've also noticed is that now, if you say aloud to a friend in a car that you're thinking about looking at the new...
I've been thinking about it.
Whatever you say, that next day is the pop-up in whatever website you go to. And that, man, freaks me out. I'm bothered by that. And I understand that there's a psychological phenomenon associated with all of that. But I would also tell you that there have been times where I'm not looking for it. You buy a new car, suddenly see it everywhere. Everybody knows that. Or if you want a red car, you see all red cars. I got it. All of a sudden, they seem to be everywhere. You never noticed them before. Got it. But what's bothersome is if I say to you, I don't know, I may get next sneakers I buy are blah, blah, blah. And I say that in passing to you at work because I'm asking your opinion. Did you ever buy a pair of Sauconys or whatever?
Yeah.
And then the next day, I've got 47 ads for Saucony. That messes me up,
Yeah,
man.
but okay, are you sure at no point on your phone or anywhere, on any device you own, you didn't search for Sauconys once you were done with the consult? Because it's all about your Google searches or your,
I know it's
your
about
Siri
your
questions.
Yeah, it's about your Google searches. It's about your Siri questions. It's about how often you click on something on Instagram because then they are able to whittle down your interests and all of that. I got it. Some of them are just wild guesses, but they're educated guesses, I guess, to an extent.
Because they know, well, yes.
Yeah, they know you like this kind of a hat. Okay,
because you're not an individual.
Right.
Because you like this kind of hat, but this kind of music, which means you most likely like this kind of a shoe.
Yeah. No, I know. I get how they put it all together, but some of them are really far-reaching, and it is a marvel. It is something to behold.
The number one spooky thing, and this doesn't have to do because it's a TV commercial, so they didn't know. But Water Liars. Remember when we discovered Water Liars?
Yeah, good band.
Every one of their I don't know, but every one of their things, like videos or whatever, had like 1,000 downloads, right? Or 1,000 views.
Total, yeah, not much.
They're on a McDonald's commercial. Where the hell did McDonald's find these people?
Well, Water Liars got really lucky because that means he's going to make a living.
Well, I mean, this is years ago, but they were on a breakfast commercial. Like, that's not even what they're about. But somehow that song, one of their songs, got picked up for like a McMuffin ad.
Well,
what?
my man gleefully said, "Sure, you can use that song." Is all I'm saying. What you want to use? By all means, yeah.
You're one of the 4,000 people that checked out this track, huh? All right.
I know. I'd like to be part of that group, though. I mean, I do find that fascinating. That would interest me. Maybe for a month.
Well, it's because they know they can get a professionally produced track for, all right, we'll give you $3,000. We'll put it on our national ad.
But you get it over time. I think you're paid over and over again, and you're also
no flat fee. You're Water Liars. You're taking $3,000.
Yeah, but the exposure that you get in that moment, man. Yeah, you're right. You can buy them all for cheap. Final hour, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. Hope you're well. Appreciate you joining us. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. Sometimes you do. And when that happens, we say, hey, man, it's all right. We got you covered. All 3 hours going to be posted upon the conclusion of the show, both to iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can also find it within the WTSM app. That's a good thing, too. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, Periscopers. I hope you are well. Email the show if you want, jcs at 979espnradio.com. Yeah, all right. That's a good thing. We're all caught up. Florida State won last night, hit a barrage of home runs. That's a good thing. And the recruiting continues. By the way, Tom, I know 9-8, whatever it was, I just take wins.
Well, when you overcome 4 errors, that's called finding a way to win a baseball game.
Yeah,
right?
we don't pick up the ball. We don't pick up the ball. We had a 5-error game that we won the other day, too. What do you think of them apples?
I think you're finding a way to win a baseball game, and you can't complain about style points right now.
No, because you have to win as many games as you possibly can, given the hole that you dug yourself. But what it does reveal, certainly, is that they're hitting in a way they haven't been hitting, but they're also not a very good baseball team defensively. And so we know that, and it's another object to overcome. I mean, it's not ideal. But wins right now are what you're trying to collect and move forward into a place where you don't have to worry about the postseason and your availability to play in it. But that it's a shoe-in and you're good. I think we are headed in that direction, certainly. I would say that. The NFL draft takes place tomorrow. We're going to be at Bumpa's Local 349. We certainly hope you'll join us. It's always a lot of fun. Last year was a great time. I was left heartbroken in last year's draft. There's really nothing that could happen in this year's draft that would leave me heartbroken. That's one thing, Tom, we didn't talk about yesterday, is that there's nothing that could happen in this year's draft that would leave me heartbroken. Nothing within the realm of reason. Like, the Bucs aren't going to take a kicker 5th overall. So, some absurd example does exist out there, but they are in a position where they're going to get a player of need or a position of need filled. And there are, because you're drafting that high, the chances that you screw this up are fairly thin. To me, this is almost a draft where I'm more intrigued by the next pick, by the second pick and the third pick and the fourth pick, because the first pick here, even if it turns out to be Ed Oliver, who I'm hoping certainly isn't the pick, but I mean, I wouldn't be devastated by that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the late speculation, and Ed Oliver's name, I think, is one of those that's been an 11th hour talking point. Because going into the year, Ed Oliver was considered. It's him and Bosa. This is a Bosa-Oliver draft because of all the positions that Ed Oliver can play. But now you hear Ed Oliver tied to the Bucs or the Giants, or maybe they might be interested in the top 4 going Ed Oliver. And I don't know if that's all smoke or if that's just now they're returning to the truth. So I guess we'll find out, thankfully, just tomorrow instead of having to listen to all the drivel.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm wanting to see exactly what happens with the quarterbacks. I finally found somebody who is willing to look into the camera and not sort of placate this idea that every quarterback draft is a good quarterback draft, or every draft has a number of good quarterbacks in it. Some years are greater than others, but there's always a reason to be excited about the prospects of 3 or 4 quarterbacks. Nope. Tim Hasselback today saying exactly what I've thought all along. So you and I are simpatico Tim Hasselback, as he said, this is a terrible draft. I don't think Daniel Jones can play at all. There are several players that I would take that are not being mentioned in the first round ahead of most of the guys that are being mentioned. I'm not a believer in Kyler Murray. He went on to talk about virtually all of these guys in a terrible way and saying that, let's just face it, guys, some years there's just not a lot of meat on the bone. Where there are position players this year, you've got defensive ends, you've got defensive backs and defensive tackles and a lot of linebackers. You got a lot of meat there. Thin pickings at other positions, whether it's running back, quarterback, you name it. Thank you for just not playing along for the sake of playing along. Thank you for saying what is really kind of, if you watch these guys in college, seems to be plainly obvious.
Yeah, you know what that means? They're not making the big bucks. That's what that means. They can play the straight man because they can afford to be the straight man.
Yeah, no, they're not on the show that I'm required to keep your attention on for the next 3 hours, even though we have no real talking points, but the company has sunk a ton of money in advertising into it. So, yeah, I got it.
Sounds like First Take.
But I'm just saying, I mean, I get that you have to do that. It's nice that there's somebody there who can look at the camera, be asked a question filled with hyperbole, as posited by, say, Mike Greenberg, and then go, well, no, actually, I don't think there are good quarterbacks in this draft, Greeny. No, none of them. And then have him just shaking his head at the camera like, well, thinking that's the last time I'll ever have your ass on the show.
Yeah,
but
exactly,
I enjoyed that he did it. He did. He was like, no. Nobody really. I mean, I would be more likely to draft Jarrett Stidham than I would any of these guys, and that's a stretch too.
Yes, it is.
But he said, listen, if you're going to just talk about quarterbacks, if you just like the way that he reads a defense and throws and makes progressions, it's him. It's like, really?
Well,
you are reaching indeed.
Yes, well, that tells me what you think of the rest of the crop.
It means you think this crop is god-awful if you're going to Stidham.
I'm going Stidham, 5th round. I'll call it a day, and I'll address all my other needs earlier in the draft.
I cracked up with that because he's saying, look, of all these guys, that guy probably has the best chance of someday developing into an average quarterback. meaning by way of comparison to the group that is, that's going to be drafted in the first round.
Yeah, so nobody else is even close to average.
That is remarkable. Good on you, brother.
Yeah, that's good honesty. We like the honesty around here.
You could be wrong. It's okay. At least say it, though. I mean, just based on the evidence. Like yesterday I was telling you and the day before, okay, why are people talking about Daniel Jones? Is it because of Cutcliffe? Because he once coached Peyton Manning and Eli Manning? And, he's smart because he went to Duke? Yeah, he can't play.
We already processed that falsehood because Daniel Jones got a lot of love at the ACC meetings.
And then turned around and sucked.
Right.
And as a man who likes to occasionally lay a wager,
Yes, a man who likes to lay a wager finds the truth out about people.
Yes, because emotion is not involved when it comes to money and trying to win it with empirical data.
Yes, that man is willing to come to a conclusion. Whereas a fan or a media member who's looking to fill, another 850 in this block, he'll say whatever he has to say.
Well, I would argue that certainly if I were gonna counter my points about the quarterbacks in this draft, I would probably only do so with maybe one or two of these quarterbacks. The Drew Lock kid, you may be right on him. You kind of like him, correct?
I do.
I don't love him.
Not in the top 50, not in the top 60.
Okay. Well, that puts it. Okay, that makes sense.
He's in like Russell Wilson territory, where, and I don't mean what he pans out as. I'd like to take a flyer on him if I'm a team that needs a quarterback around pick 85, 90, somewhere in there, if that.
Well,
but I mean, think about it. If you're the Patriots, right?
Right. And you got time to groom a guy.
You got 6 picks in the top 100 or 101, whatever it is. Okay, take a flyer on that dude in the 3rd round, but he probably won't be there because. You've got some starving teams in front of you that'll just look for anything.
Yeah, you and I agree that actually if you want to develop a guy who we think physically has the skill set and showed early on that perhaps he's going to be molded into being a good quarterback because of the decisions that he showed him, his ability to read a defense and all that, it's Haskins.
It's not even close. Yes. He's a project, sure, but
he just hasn't played enough football is the problem.
But there are so few quarterbacks at the collegiate level these days that can go 1 to 4 in a progression. They just don't. It's not the way the offenses are run. And I don't even know that Ohio State's offense is run like that. But if you have the poise and the mental ability to sit back, take a look at safeties and corners on one half of the field and say, no, I don't like it, and turn that down, the NFL as a quarterback is just as much about turning something down as it is making a throw.
Ultimately, it was the lesson that we needed Jameis to learn, which at the end of last season, we got a glimpse of with consistency. It was throw to throw, quarter to quarter, game to game, where it had never been. So
yesterday, I think we'll have some audio tomorrow, but Bruce Arians and Jameis met the media because they're in a mini camp. And Bruce... It's the process that Jimbo went through. Bruce is going through it right now.
Oh, he's watching things going, oh, wow, he's a lot better than I realized.
He said he got to his 5th read on a progression yesterday, and they're just barely starting. And he's like, well, that's nice.
I mean, you and I know this, and I think your diehard people know it. Certainly, if you were privileged enough to be around here and watch it happen, or in my case, I'm extremely fortunate because I heard it from the coach's mouth. I heard it from a guy who knows more about offensive football and certainly design than I could ever dream of knowing, and than most people know in all of college football. That guy who wasn't in the habit of throwing those kinds of platitudes around towards a quarterback who had been nothing but difficult and hard on quarterbacks would tell me off the air on a daily basis, wait till you get a look at this kid. I've never seen anything like it. Talking about in terms of acumen, ability to quickly process information, make decisions and throws, comprehend and understand conceptually everything they're trying to do and why.
Yeah, that's what Arian said yesterday. Was the other thing about it is even though we're in off camp or whatever, off season camp, we threw some odd looks at him, and he was quick to turn from one half of the field to the other and get to progression 4 or 5. We haven't even gone there yet in the lesson plan.
It's gonna be exciting, man.
It would be like you're in a class back in 5th, 6th grade science, and you're already talking about the conclusions and how they apply at a high school level, and the teacher's like, "Well, that's wonderful, but carbon's atomic number is this."
I love it. I can't wait. Now I'm so eager to watch him in that offense because it's what we remember Arian's offense in Arizona. It's fun.
It can be.
It can be fun if you have a guy that understands it, and I think they will. They'll speak the same language.
The crappy thing is if the Bucks hadn't re-signed Donovan and DeMar Dotson, I really would like it if we trade down and go grab either the kid from Florida or the kid from Alabama on the offensive line.
Yeah,
but we
the tackle,
re-sign them, and I feel like
the Taylor kid.
Yeah, Taylor or
I know
was it Quanjo? Because I feel like you're putting your finger back in the electrical socket again with these two, and that's really frustrating. But I guess they decided that they need to address other stuff, and let's just sign these guys that we have.
Well, and it was also a horrible market. Understand this, Smith would have been the number 1 rated free agent at the position.
Yeah.
That's how bad a market it was. So, I mean, there was not going to be anybody better for them to get.
No, you would have to go draft pick is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I don't
but before we re-signed him, I thought, all right, let his ass walk because he doesn't even, or play him at right tackle because he doesn't care to play very often. And let's go get ourselves, one of the top 2 tackles. But the other problem is the draft pickings are slim. And I think that probably played a role into us re-signing him.
Let's just hold our breath that maybe Quinnen Williams, Josh Allen, or certainly Devin White are there. That would be a wonderful day at the office.
That's where the Raiders being at 4 can be your friend.
Best friend. Absolutely. Go ahead and do something off the wall, Mike Mayock. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
favorite part of the Damian Lillard shot is not only where he took it from, but it comes from a guy that is not very much like the modern era player. Rather, the opposite is true. My man's got what for and heart and doesn't care for your super teams. He wants to win in Portland. He wants to put aside the fact that they've been swept not once but twice each of the last 2 years and forge ahead and get it done for that city and for that team. And to be sure, he's one of the best players in the league and seldom seen, and he could probably find his way on one of those super teams and get his ring, alas, but doesn't believe that's the way to go about it. And that's cool because it doesn't happen anymore, and admittedly it makes me old because that's the way it used to be. And I like that. I like that if you got drafted by somebody and you became a star, you were rooted there. You believed, if they did right by you, certainly, from a contract standpoint when the time was right, that it would be best to succeed on your own terms and for the team that believed in you upon draft day. And I love that. I love a player that will embrace a tradition, no matter whether it's as long and established and historic like the Lakers or Celtics, or that of someplace like Portland that does have some history and a fan base that is rabid, or back in the day, say Seattle. Or, I mean, that was kind of what happened, and that's how the league remains viable in other markets that are outside the top 5. Outside the top 10 most desirable markets. I get that as an individual, you're your own business, and in a lot of ways, if you become marketable as a star, you're not going to want to do it in a place like Portland. You're going to want to do it in a place like Los Angeles or a place like New York. But the league has also changed to the point where, obviously, you look around, there are stars. Giannis is a superstar, an emerging superstar, who they say is similar to Damian Lillard in that he doesn't necessarily care to leave Milwaukee. We'll see. I don't know. I love his game. It's freakish, but the league's better if you have an established star and you piece things around them as they were doing at one time in Oklahoma City that fell apart in markets beyond just, say, a big 3 or a big 4, because otherwise it's boring to watch 3 super teams go head-to-head eventually, because what happens is it renders the regular season moot. And look, the NBA, basically the higher seeds are cruising on through as they always do, and it's why you and me and many others don't even bother to watch until we get down to those 2 or 3 teams that have a viable chance at winning a title. But I want a playoff to begin. Not too dissimilar, unfortunately, to hockey. I think there's too much randomness in hockey, but I certainly would like to see a group of 5 in the West and 5 in the East that have viable shots so that we can engage.
So I grew up. That's how the 90s were.
Yeah.
Even though the Bulls, they ended up winning, it wasn't like they just skated every year.
No,
if you picked the Bulls, you did so because of Michael Jordan, but, they were scared by a lot of teams over their run. And obviously, when Jordan came back for a partial season,
Orlando beat him.
Orlando bounced him. But, they were taken to the mat, to the wire by Utah. They've been scared by the Heat. I don't know. I thought it was a better way to do things because you also had personalities to those teams.
Exactly.
It's kind of like college basketball. The one and done has removed the personality. Like, who is Duke? Who is Duke? What are they about?
Right.
They used to have an identity about what they were, but now it's just, who is Duke? Okay. They're 3 of the top 20 recruits every single year. That's who they are.
Yeah, and we've talked for years about how that hurts college basketball, and we're right-to-work guys, and I understand that those guys can be one and done and move on and all of that.
They shouldn't have to be one and done.
Yeah, they should just be able straight to go. Yeah, they could go straight to the league. I would love to see them adopt something that says you can go straight to the league, certainly, and certainly they can. Currently, you can go to a professional sports franchise.
Yeah.
But I would like a rule like they have in college baseball. I would love for that to happen. That if you make the decision to go to college, you're going to college. You're going to take classes and you're going to remain eligible and you're going to be there 3 years. That'd be cool. It's good for the sport. I understand the economic arguments the other way. I get all of that. But from a viewership standpoint, I think it's really good for the sport. And I think it's good for the NBA, like you're describing, to have people to hate, people to love, people to have a feeling about one way or the other, as opposed to pending free agents.
Like if you were a Pacers fan or a Knicks fan or briefly, I guess, a Hornets fan, in the East in those days that the Bulls were prolific, you didn't think you had no chance when the playoffs started. You
No,
believed you
no,
had a
you-
chance.
you had a chance.
And rightfully speaking, you did.
There's always going to be a favorite.
Yeah.
Who likely houses the best player in the game because basketball is so influenced by the greatness of an individual. So all of the teams that had great success and sustained success had a superstar, maybe more, but they were oftentimes built over time. That superstar arrived, they built around them, complementary parts. Those players lifted each other up. Maybe somebody else emerged on their own level. You think about a Houston back in the day. Well, obviously that team was centered around Hakeem Olajuwon, but the one that lost to the Celtics in the 86 finals had pieces galore. They all had an identity.
I think you have that, though, and it's just kind of blind luck a little bit with the Kawhi Leonard situation leading the way in one market. But you have that right now in the East. I mean, you've got three different distinct favorites.
With LeBron gone, certainly you do have that in the East.
Right, yeah. I mean, you got Giannis, and Milwaukee looks unbelievable, but then Kawhi's doing incredible things. The stuff he did in Orlando, oh, my God.
Yeah, he's a great player.
And then, of course, you've got Kyrie and all the guys. Boston was a favorite coming into the season. And then also Philly. I mean, I'm not going to count out Philly either. So while they may not be the market forces that are strong enough to defeat a Golden State team that isn't infighting, still, at least in the East right now, it looks like something that I used to know.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not going to want to confuse the discussion I'm having centered around Lillard's loyalty to a market that is seldom seen with saying there's nothing of intrigue as to who's going to win in the East for a given round. I think we know this is Golden State's to lose, obviously, in the West. They're likely going to, I think, get their three-peat. But having said all of that, I don't like when those teams are basically rented. When you feel like somebody is there for the time being and there's no chance somebody's going to get to keep them. Now, I listen, I'm for players reaching a place where free agency exists and they can leave if they want to leave. I'm merely admiring the guy who has some stick-to-itiveness to him. I'm merely noting that I really appreciate a guy who appreciates the franchise that drafts him because he was Rookie of the Year in Portland. So he's been there. They picked him. This isn't one of those hop to hop to hop, and people do that. That's fine. Rented players have existed forever, and you can rent guys that help complement for championships. See Robert Horry. But I like a guy that gets drafted, becomes a mega star. I mean, he's a star and cold-blooded, but is holding it down for Portland. Loves it, man.
And there is one excellent profile on Damian Lillard on Yahoo Sports today in which he invited media members over to his house to watch. I think it was the Utah series. I mean, Utah's the underdog.
Right.
But they were watching on Monday night, and he went off about the things he doesn't like about OKC, about how they're all very much about pounding their chest, about who they are and how great they are.
Had things to say and backed it up.
And he dropped some MFers. He dropped some BAs, if you will.
I like that about him.
He says, I'm no BA MFer. Unlike maybe somebody. Yeah, maybe somebody that he was checking and somebody that he dominated in this series.
Well, it doesn't get more in terms of the aesthetics of a walk-off, if you will, a true buzzer beater. It doesn't get better than the one that he just had last night, accompanied with the wave. Well, that's brutal. I'm not seeing that for a while. You see the finger, you see whatever. You don't see the bitch. Time to ride. You don't see the.
That is one of the words that he used.
It just, you don't get the wave and the calm, cool, collected. He's not. It's funny, too, because there's nothing wrong with the defense there. There's nothing wrong. That's just a guy making a shot. Well, that's an absurdity.
And what he said about Westbrook is that Westbrook was doing the rock the baby thing after he hit some jump shots in his face. And Lillard said, okay.
I'm not the one.
But you don't do that unless you beat somebody in the post. Like, that's just kind of the understood. And he says, look it up. He's only had one layup on me the entire series.
Yeah, a blow-by, you might taunt. Right.
But Russ is known for whoever it is, whenever it is, calling attention to the fact that he got by somebody. What Russ doesn't do, and I'm torn on Russ because, I mean, that dude is always, it's like the guy who holds down the turbo button on the controller. That's the way he plays when he's in rhythm, and it's unbelievable to watch.
Well, his athleticism is something to at least sit back and marvel. I don't know I've ever seen any player quite like Russell Westbrook, but he has faults in his game.
Yes, when it comes to actually racking up made shots and field goals, Allen Iverson looks at him and says, my God, you're a volume scorer.
Right. No, there's no – the speed and passion with which he plays is something to marvel at and to appreciate. The all-around game and making others better and all that, that's not really there.
Lillard also took notice of in Game 3 where Paul George had a reverse dunk at the buzzer, up 12. He said, oh, really? I didn't expect that from Paul, is what he said.
Defensive player of the year and all that. He didn't, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's how we're going to roll. Well, good. Listen, man, have some want to. Have some, as I like to say, some MF in him. Have some what for. I mean, that's how rivalries are born. That's how personalities emerge. That's how fans connect. You get a guy who backs it up, calls it out, and then is also embracing a role in a place where a lot of people would be looking to leave the first chance they get. Now, listen, I'm not saying I love the Pacific Northwest, but in terms of marketability, you get it. And again, any guy that gets drafted anywhere and then decides I'm re-upping here because I'm not going to go and do the easy thing and fall into a championship, see a certain superstar. I'm going to go ahead and do this now, and I'm going to get guys to come here and want to play with me, and I'm going to build this thing up because that's actually legendary. That's how you leave an imprint that never goes away, as opposed to being a rented superstar player whose skills are not in question. Nobody's questioning Kevin Durant's ability.
Oh, even still, I mean, consider LeBron's arc. That Cleveland championship means so much more than the Miami ones.
So much
I feel
more.
like we've pretty much forgotten about the Miami thing. We've forgotten about the Boston Celtics Big Three. Who cares about that?
The Cleveland championship is his legacy.
Yeah.
The Cleveland championship is why, if he never gets anywhere close to the Jordan 6 titles, you still say, oh, hold on. He wasn't playing with Scottie Pippen.
He did it in Cleveland.
Yeah, he did it in Cleveland, where you can't win unless you're LeBron. And he did it without a cast of top 50 all-time players. I mean, Pippen and Rodman, and you go through those Bulls teams, they're legendary players. Now, Jordan rode it out with one team, and he gets props for that, and he stayed when they weren't winning championships, and eventually it all did happen around him, and he did figure out how to make players better. But that LeBron championship is no joke because there's really not much help. I mean, that's and to come back from 3 games to 1, and I understand a certain suspension occurred, but that's crazy.
Yeah, it sure is. And the best part of the Lillard thing, real quick, is the beginning. They're setting the stage. So he invites people over, and they're having fried catfish and rice and beans and whatever, and they're just watching the game. And Lillard hardly says a word the entire time. And then at one point in the fourth quarter, he just opens up and says, I'm going to end these MFers tomorrow. Like he'd been thinking about it, watching the basketball game and just pointing out some things he's seeing in another series. And then he feels compelled to say it. Like, that's as G as it gets.
Well, and he did. And he waved it off. He told them all to have a good one. Pretty cool breakdown of that final play, which is not a play. But I do like and Jalen Rose did a very good job of breaking this down, saying, watch how he calls for help so that the defender thinks that there's a pick coming, but that it's already understood both by the coach, certainly by Curry's brother. That's what he's known as. He's Curry's brother. And by every other teammate on that Portland squad. He doesn't want help. That's merely a gesture. It's a deke. He is going to shoot this, and who else would we have shoot this? The coach isn't even looking as he holds his hand up and waves over for a pick, because he knows there's not going to be a pick. It's going to be him rising up and hitting a 30-plus foot jumper, and he's fine with that, as you would be.
I believe he had a walk-off in the playoffs years ago, too.
Yeah.
That Tirico called.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He's had, I think it was 2014.
Lillard!
Yeah, in 2014, I think it was. He did it as well. He's got a knack for those sorts of things. Certainly not afraid. But I can root for that, and I'm getting engaged now. And listen, I root for players that have a sense of old school loyalty. I know that's not a modern thing. I understand that people are used to guys just taking it on down the road, going from team to team, place to place. I like to see that.
There is speculation that his contract could be moved in the offseason. He's got 2 more years after this one.
Right.
There's speculation that a big market team might put something together to go get him. But yeah,
if it happens,
it's a trade versus,
right.
Yeah,
as a make sure you get rid of me. Yeah. These guys usually put their organization in untenable positions, and I hate that. I understand they have the right to do it. I don't like it. I don't like going to a team and saying I've I've outperformed my time here, and I can't be here. You guys really can't do anything for me. Please make sure you get rid of me before the start of the season, because then that team has no leverage. They've got nothing. They've invested in you. They drafted you, and peace. And now you're screwed. I mean, you go to another.
Well, now
team.
you're Portland again. Yes.
Yeah. Now you're
Portland could really use Seattle, and the hope for the NBA is that with the NHL franchise coming and the building being erected, that may be enough for a
it
natural
broke my
rivalry.
heart when they announced that Seattle wasn't going to have the Supersonics. It made no sense. It was an affront to my childhood. Certain things need to be. Seattle has got to have an NBA team. I mean, whether it's Gary Payton or Sean Kemp or any other great Seattle player you want to name, but they had squads. They had teams that you loved. And really, there have been few exceptions that the league over the years, the ones that have had a team for, say, the last 35, 40 years, you've seen moments for all of these squads, by and large, even places like New Jersey, obviously, with Jason Kidd and the runs that they had, or the Orlando Magic, who, by and large, until this year, has most recently been of no use, have been to the finals multiple times and certainly had their chance. Even post Shaq and Penny, as we recall, those were that's been a franchise that has found its way. Then you go back and you look. I understand that right now you think of a Charlotte or anybody like that, and you roll your eyes, but grandmama, they've all had these moments. I want identifiable superstars who want to hold it down for the city that drafts them, and they make it possible by not demanding that they get to a bigger market and bending a team over the barrel.
Not to double down on another topic within the segment, but I'm going to give it a shot here. What about the idea that the player says, well, I don't care about the draft. That's not my choice. That's the league's choice. So if I want to leave, that's great. I've given you the service time I've given you.
Have the right to do it.
But I want out, man.
You can want out, and that's fine, and I get it. If you're drafted to a place like Denver and you don't think that they're building around you in a way that you can see a bright future in 4 and 5 years, and you're stuck making less money because you're in that market as opposed to, say, New York, obviously, we have a perfect example of that. That's why Carmelo wanted out, and we know that, but they were building something, and they did make a run, and there was an opportunity, and so I hate that. I get it's your right to do it. I just have more respect for the guy if they're getting a good faith effort from the organization. If you believe that the organization, while certainly not built-in advantages that New York should have, but never seem to take advantage of.
Ever.
I mean, they've had it. They just fail because they're a miserably run organization. But when they ought to. I mean, they ought to be they ought to be competing to win a championship or the East every year.
Worst run organization in sports.
Yeah,
now, this offseason, they've got a crack at it. They've got their first honest crack at it in some time.
Yeah.
With KD plus maybe a point guard.
Well, that's the argument right now with Brooklyn becoming viable is that is there ever going to be a time in which the Knicks window to get it right, based on the cachet they have, the history of the league, the city that they're in, that they could be surpassed by a Brooklyn, an up-and-coming borough that everybody wants to live in and loves now and is hip and all that, and actually has a viable franchise? And I think the answer is no. I think the Knicks have a mystique. The Knicks will not be surpassed. If they ever just get run correctly, they could be great again.
If the Garden gets knocked down, then the mystique is gone.
Yeah.
Because that's a building that others have made memories in. But you know what? It's
Yeah.
not like there are Knick memories. There's like 4 of them. And then everybody else has an MSG game, and it's not the Knicks.
Yeah. No, you're right. But they want to go and show out at the Mecca.
Right.
Yeah. But that place isn't going anywhere. And if they just start being run properly, they could. And it's good for the NBA. Hell, for that matter, it's good for the NFL, the NHL, any league to have a team in New York City kicking ass.
Yeah. The whole thing that if I was Adam Silver, I'd be like, all right, has Dolan been to Jupiter, Florida anytime recently?
Can we do something to excommunicate this guy? Can we get this guy out of our league? Because this is going on an awful long time. It feels almost like it's in perpetuity. But I would love to see – I never thought in my lifetime I'd see the Clippers be viable. They were, briefly. I never thought I'd see Golden State, really. I know in a bygone era they had been previously, not that I recall, but certainly didn't think we'd be on the verge of watching Golden State with a three-peat. I've watched Utah be great. You can win in Utah. They won in Utah. Utah.
And who knows what Milwaukee's going to do this year.
I know. So, that's happening in the East. It's happening in select places, but you always feel that it has to happen really quickly because the engine is going to walk. So if Giannis walks, goodbye, Milwaukee, you're back to being of no use to the league. If Lillard leaves Portland, as you noted, we're done talking about Portland again for a decade. I mean, I don't like that. And you're right. Guy can ride. It's his right to do it. I just have more respect for those who say, no, if you're treating me well, you gave me the contract, and I believe that you're doing everything in your power to win around here, I'm staying. I'll ride it out. If we get swept in the first round, so be it. Not going to make any excuses. I'll come back, work harder. We'll try to get better. Let's make some good moves. Come back the next year. If we come up short in our quest to get it done in Game 7, see Oklahoma City back in the day, then I'm not going to just ride on out and ease into a championship. I'm going to go ahead and stick it out and say, damn it, okay, it's our time. And they were close. That's the thing I hate.
They're up 3-1 in the series.
Yeah.
Everybody forgets about that one. Yeah.
They choked. But why would you break that up? Why would you? I mean, he had every right to do it.
Could have been tired of Russ.
Well, now that's a different story altogether, right? That's a different deal. If you didn't do it, if you're tired of Russ, you could go somewhere other than Golden State.
Couldn't you gone to Minnesota?
You could have gone anywhere. I'm sure lots of people would have wanted you. The best player in the game. Wrapping it up momentarily. Jeff Cameron.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Don't forget, I've beaten you over the head with it, so you probably won't, but I understand listenership is intermittent. So a reminder, tomorrow, the NFL draft party at Bumpa's Local 349. Good times abound. We'll be there. I hope my man, T. Lizzie, is going to be able to be there. I don't know. I'm a little worried about you, dude. Can't have all this sickness during the draft party. This is a tradition unlike any other. We've been together for years for this thing. Come on now.
We have. I'm doing my best.
You're going to need drugs. When you leave here, go take some drugs.
PCP. Let's do it.
Whatever concoction you need to get right by tomorrow night's draft. Drugs. Mix them all up. I'm not afraid of drugs. Here's what I mean by that. You know, a lot of people worry about taking Tylenol and a bunch of other different types of things. Not me. I know they're set up not to kill us. Nobody wants to get sued.
Yeah, the upper limit is for like the lowest tolerance of anybody.
Yeah.
That's why I take 12 Tylenol every That's a joke. Don't do that, people. I don't need the liability of the lawsuit. That is a freaking joke.
Yeah, it wouldn't kill him anyhow, but don't do it. Here's the thing I'll tell you. I've had a doctor tell me, hey, listen, you need some anti-inflammatories. Just go to the store. Over-the-counter works. I know it says take 2. Take 4. It's fine. It's fine. Believe me. You're a big guy. Take 4 or 5. They're like, yeah, we know. Do something.
That's the pilot episode of Scrubs. Where,
he
says just take a handful, chuck them at her mouth, and however many go in, that's how many she needs.
Anyhow, I've always thought I would take like a NyQuil and mix it with like like a bunch of different kinds of things just to clear it all up at once. I didn't do it, but I've always thought I should do it.
No.
I think
with the sleep stuff, that's where
I'm not getting crazy. I'm not taking Ambien. I would never take an Ambien, by the way. I know people that have, though. I don't think I would. I think I'd be worried. You're always reading about Ambien messing people up.
Well, getting addicted to it, of course. Yeah, I've never taken Ambien.
Either have I. I bet it's a good sleep, though. But
it's called Scotch.
I think that's what you need, buddy. And I know you've got a fine single malt. You got several.
I've got a collection.
Yeah, that's.
I slept like I did when I was, and you know me, I used to be quite the sleeper.
You were an amazing sleeper.
I mean, in my heyday, I could go toe-to-toe with Corey Clark in terms of
I've never seen anything like it. I remember
logged.
I would just chalk it up to youth. I'd be like, all right, Jeff, you got to remember, he's 15 years younger than you. But it used to be, I'd be like, man, my man is still sleeping.
I pulled
what are we doing here?
A 9 to 9 yesterday. And I woke up and I was like, man, I need to go to sleep.
You missed the awesome Inn of Vegas in San Jose.
I missed the whole. Well, it was 9:45, so 9:45, 9:15. But I missed the whole thing. I didn't see puck drop. I waited until.
No.
Yeah, I waited until the Boston game was over, which was anticlimactic because that's what they do when they play at home.
Beat that ass.
And then I watched us.
Toronto's going to be like, what are we?
We tattooed the Phils, and then that was it.
Oh, good thing Big Daddy didn't step to the betting office, I swear. I was questioning at the end of yesterday's show why Phillies were plus 130, and now I know why.
That's the dude. That's the Wheeler from the last 15 starts of last season. He found it again. And now we'll see if it's consistent or not. But they put this graphic up last night in the broadcast that he is top 3 in the majors in terms of velocity increase year over year. He's increased his fastball velocities, has Zach Wheeler, 1.1 miles per hour. And he's been pitching in some cold weather games.
I wonder what's going on there. New workout regimen?
Maybe he and Bartolo work together in the offseason.
All I'd tell you is if that's true, you like that man. You admire his commitment.
Well, and his command of his curveball was what grabbed my attention because it has it's not 12-6. It's like halfway up the dial on the 12
and 6. 12-6.
But it's got a downward
got
dip to it.
A little something to
you. Mix that with 98?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that changes things a little bit.
It could be dominant. Speaking of which, we've got probables. Here they are. Fire away.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Hey, so should mention, I think we have Braves after Front Row Knowles.
That's correct. So we're going to join that game in progress.
Yeah, because that's a 640. Yeah, so nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, can't do anything about that.
Yeah, but you're only going to miss the first inning, if that. That's a 640 first pitch. And this, I should note who's actually on the hill. It's Braves Reds. It's Soroka and Tanner Roark. Lost it there for a second. I had a glitch on the computer. Forgive me.
Well, and the Braves, they're going to take a couple of nights off after tonight on Tallahassee Sports Monster because we're going to have the NFL Draft live.
Damn right we are. That's what we do.
That's tomorrow. We'll have the entirety of the first round, and then we're taking it on Friday, too. So we're going to take rounds 2 and 3 on Friday night.
And I can't wait. Running errands, doing whatever I'm doing. I got the draft on in the car on 97.9 ESPN Radio or the WTSM app, Tom. Either way. Could stream it. ESPNTallahassee.com
That is,
if I wanted
yes,
to.
there are no streaming restrictions for the NFL Draft.
You're damn right. D-backs, Pirates. Merrill Kelly goes for the D-backs. Jordan Lyles, who's been a pleasant surprise this year, goes for the Buccos. White Sox, Orioles. Erwin Santana and John Means. All right. Not going to watch that game. Tigers, Red Sox. We got Tyson Ross and Eduardo Rodriguez. Phillies, Mets, Vince Velasquez, Jason Vargas, T. Lizzie's favorite.
Oh, boy.
He of the 958 Vargas family.
Bring the bats or else you don't need to bring the brooms.
Dodgers, Cubs, Walker Buehler, Cole Hamels.
Trapper keeper.
Glad you remembered. Well done. Twins, Astros, Cole Stewart, Justin Verlander. Damn it, Justin Verlander not only turned his career around upon marrying a certain woman, but he has sustained the greatness. 3-0 this year with a 3.
Did you see he's stumping for one of those nasal sprays now? He's like, I have problems with allergies. I'm like, screw you. Deal with the allergies.
Yeah,
okay?
You got everything
right.
else. You got the world in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Amongst other great things.
Right. You've got a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, whatever you need it.
And cool stuff in the palm of your hand.
I don't know that you'll ever need 4 hymns.
Yankees, Angels. CC Sabathia is still pitching. First start was a good start. Struck out 8. He's got an ERA of 0. He's fat and still dealing.
He's got a little Pedro renaissance going on in his career. Because,
I like it.
The both of them could fireball and they learned how to pitch.
Felix Pena goes for the Angels, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump.
There was a time before we were born. If someone asks, this is where I'll be.
Hey, do you like the Zurich Classic? We don't talk about it on the air. It's the partner golf, you know. You got Koepka and Koepka are a team, and Blixt has won this thing before, and he's teamed up with Cameron Smith, so that's kind of a cool team. Do you like that?
You know, well, I like the concept, but I'll have to say that I've never watched it. I've never, for whatever reason, there's sometimes like...
there's a lot going on, usually, the NFL Draft for starters.
Right. Well, for some reason, the Memorial, like I get it's a big tournament, but I don't ever set my watch by it. But when I turn on the TV once a year, it's like, oh, yes, the Memorial.
Oh,
and
great,
so I
yeah.
find it. But
like Jax.
I would like this format. Like this is something that appeals to me, that they do something different, and yet I've yet to actually see it.
There are appealing groupings, too. So, for example, like just for golf heads, Oosthuizen and Schwartzel are a team. Because, of course, they are. I mean, but that's a good team, right? That's a good team. Adam Scott and Jason Day are a team.
Huh, well, of course. Aussies.
You've got Sergio Garcia and Tommy Fleetwood are a team.
Ooh, that's a good team.
Patrick Cantlay, who's playing the best golf of his career, is teamed with Patrick Reed. I mean, I'll root against them. I like Cantlay, not Reed.
I feel like Keith Mitchell should be teammates with Patrick Reed. They seem to have a similar disposition.
Mitchell's kind of come onto the scene this year.
Yes, he has.
Kisner and Brown are a team. Palmer and Rom, by the way. That kind of makes sense, too. You've got Finau and Stanley are a team. Good teams.
Huh.
It's a good tournament, man. They're really good, like I said, Koepka and Koepka, he and his brother, which is pretty cool.
Which is what he does.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, he practically carried them to a pretty good finish last year. The younger Koepka, that is, who went to USF. So there it is. Good work out of you. Good work, obviously, Matthew, as well. And to our friends at the Front Row Knowles, that's what's up next. Have a great show. You guys stay tuned for that. It's always good. It'll be followed by Braves baseball. Be well, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at the draft, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on the air.